free stuff is free stuff.
Yeah, it is. Bishop d4. And now what white is trying to do is trade maybe... Oh my god, 97!
She stepped into the fork! No!
Oh my god.
I wasn't even looking. I was trying to catch up with the chat and then...
Oh my god.
That
what happened? That was a blunder.
Welcome everybody to the inaugural Women's Speed Chess Championship here at Chess.com. I'm once again joined by the one and only International Master Sofiko Guramishvili. Sofiko, how are you today?
I'm good. I'm so excited. I think I'm more excited than the players.
That might be the case. I so can't wait. This is the first Women's Speed Chess Championship, the first match of an eight-player field. The players that we are going to witness today fighting against each other are very good friends. Elina, Danielian, the qualifier, and the top-ranked player of the field, Kateryna Lagno. Sofiko, how do you see the match and what are you most looking forward to?
I think we'll see a very fighting chess because both players are very aggressive players. And we know that Kateryna is a World Women Blitz champion. She won also Rapid champion. She won European Individual Championship twice when she was also 15 years old. But she said in an interview that she has not played often the online chess, which is quite different from real chess, and Elina is playing.
Okay. As Sofiko mentioned, the match today will be between Kateryna Lagno and Elina Danielian. The two of them are very strong grandmasters, male grandmasters, and normally they face each other in classical chess over the board. They have played against each other 15 times already, and the individual score between them is 9.5, 6.5, if I can recall correctly, the result in favor of Kateryna. On the other hand, this is an online match, with the format being 5+1 for the first 90 minutes. Then we have 3+1 for an hour and 1+1 bullet in the very end for half an hour. This is an incredibly exciting format. Elina is used to playing online chess, and on Chess.com she often plays herself, while Kateryna doesn't play much online blitz. She does love blitz format, but she doesn't play online chess often, and we shall see if that will make a difference today for this match.
So there I am.
Welcome back, Sofiko. I've been missing you.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting match, and I had probably a bit of technical problems, but I think I'm back now, and we will witness a very fighting match, and I'm so excited to follow it.
I also can't wait. The match is about to start. We are a few minutes away from the first games to kick off. We have already seen the two players on camera, and we mentioned, now you can see them too, I've just realized. We mentioned already that they are very good friends, and actually Elina, when she qualified for the tournament by winning the qualifier that Sofiko and I hosted, she tweeted, she said on Twitter, "Happy that I've just managed to win Women's Speed Chess Championship on Chess.com and qualified to the quarterfinals where I'll be facing World Vice Champion and my friend, Kateryna Lagno."
Yeah, that was very good tweet, and they are friends, and I think it's very difficult to play against your friend, but that's where online chess comes handy, because if I were to play you, Anna, terrible.
Oh no, I can't think of that. Also, of course, Elina said in the pre-match interview that she considers Kateryna a favorite. Kateryna is the reigning world blitz champion. She is basically, as Sofiko mentioned in the introduction, she has won every single title that's possible, and she was very close to winning the Women's World Championship in November in Hantima 6. She was one game away from becoming the Women's World Champion in classical chess. She led the match with 1 point, if you remember, Sofiko, against Yu Wenyun, and she lost that crucial game that tied the score for the Chinese player, and then the tiebreaks were decided in favor of the defending champion.
That's true, and I'm amazed how she's doing it because she has 4 children, and being a mommy of 4 children and plays so great. She was not playing for a bit of time, and then she came back with a powerful world knockout tournament where she went into finals, as you mentioned, against Ju and Ju. That's crazy. That's really crazy. I really wanted to ask her how she's doing. I wanted to know the secret mommy as well.
We will have, luckily, the chance to talk to the players after the match, so don't go anywhere. Once the games are over, we will interview both players. And of course, Elina Danielian needs no introduction either. She's the winner of the qualifier tournament we broadcasted a few weeks ago. She's a 6-time Armenian champion, and she has represented her country at Chess Olympiads 13 times already. That's 26 years of representing your country at Olympiads.
Yeah, that's a lot of time, and she's the strongest player of Armenia, and she's a very fighting player. I played against her at European Championship, and I put up a bit of fight, but when she gets attacked, she is total beast. She totally crushed me.
That's indeed one of her strengths, and Kateryna herself pointed it out in the pre-match interview, what she considers the biggest strength of her opponent. She exactly said the same as you, Sopiko. It's Kateryna talking about Elina, saying that initiative and attack are her biggest strengths.
Yeah, that's true. I think generally women play very aggressive chess. So Kateryna is herself a very strong player when it comes to attack, initiative, and as Elina mentioned, in all fields. So we will have a crazy house today.
Very exciting match. We are looking forward to it. The games are about to begin, as we mentioned earlier. First, we are starting with the 5+1 portion. That is 5 minutes and a 1 second increment. And the game has just started with 1e4 and c6. Sopiko, what do you think of this opening choice? Are we surprised?
No, we're not surprised. We were expecting this one because Kateryna is e4 player, and Elina's main repertoire is to play Caracan and French sometimes recently. And this is actually this bishop e2 is the way that Kateryna used in World Blitz Championship, because mostly she was playing the normal e4 d4, but recently she switched to e4 c6 knight c3, which I think that is a surprise for Elina as well, because you can find nowadays many games in a database and you can prepare for your opponent. What do you think, Anna? Who is better prepared?
That's going to be the question. And I'm also curious to see how well Kateryna will adjust to the online format. As we already discussed, she has basically won every single title that's possible, but she doesn't play much online chess. So Elina clearly has an advantage in terms of being more familiar to this online atmosphere and handling the mouse.
Yeah, that's very important, because mouse slips can sometimes happen, and you really have to be very good at online. It's very different from real chess, but still, it's a chess. And what about the game? White has 2 bishops already, but Black got rid of the so-called bad bishop of the Caracan and French. How do you think? I think I like White because of 2 bishops, but I don't think it's big enough to convert it into something.
I'm also a big fan of the pair of bishops and space advantage in general. And as you pointed out, there's no bad bishop. I'm missing the French bishop from the position. So far it's looking good for White, but it's a slight advantage. I think Elina's position as Black is solid and it's not easy to break, but a good start for Kateryna, and we shall see if she can increase her advantage.
Yeah, and I think what White can play for is the majority on the queen side. So we should use the advantage of 2 bishops, and maybe at some point think of, let's say, bishop e5, c4, a3, b4, c5. At least that's what comes to my mind when I think of this position. We can also probably have the battery on b1, h7 diagonal, though Black knight on f6 defends everything very well.
I like your plan about expanding on the queen side. We can see that White has a pawn majority on the queen side, so it would be ideal if in the future she could create a pass pawn on the queen side. Bishop c4 to ask the rook immediately where is it going. because Elina was about to double rooks on the d file.
Do you think rook g5 will happen? Some sort of initiative on the king side? I don't know. I don't believe in this, but maybe.
Yes, knowing that Elina loves attacking chess, for sure she's considering it, but I'm not sure how good that move is in this position. If we just look at it for a moment, the rook, yes, it's attacking on the g5, but it doesn't really have bodies to help the rook. It would take a couple of moves until black can create attack. So I'm thinking she will go for a different move.
Yeah, and maybe it was some kind of provocating move because after, let's say, rook d7, which black could go directly, then bishop on c4 is disturbing the pawns to expand. We have to lose tempo with, let's say, bishop b3, b4, bishop b3, a3, c4. And also the queen cannot go anywhere because the bishop on c4 is under attack. But I'm sure that Elina takes a lot of time and she is really thinking about rook g5, maybe with some queen c6. Yeah, this is not very direct attack, but still somehow it bothers a bit.
Yes, it's interesting. And then she goes back to d8. But you're right, pointing out that she has spent a lot of time on this move. It means that she was calculating rook g5. And it's sad when you need to retreat to d8 after having spent so much time, 2 minutes, on that one single move.
Right. Yeah, rook d8 was a bit mysterious for me, but she chose to have rooks on c8 and d8, not to double on d file. Probably she is right because the bishop on d4 is so strong that you don't need to double. But I like then white's plan because it's easier to play with two bishops and rook d2, rook d1. At some point, bishop e5 can be also considered. What do you think about some kingside pawn attack with f4, f5?
Interesting. And as you said, white can simply prepare for it by doubling rooks on the d file. The queen bishop battery is also an option. That's topic already mentioned earlier. Elina is doing well to put some pressure on the queen side, but bishop b1 is a logical move because it defends the a2 pawn, and also for the future, if white wants to attack, ideally I would like to have the queen on e4 and not on the d file to not place it in the pin. Right. g6.
G6, yeah, it closes this diagonal, so white can never think of the battery on the b1 h7 diagonal, but it's also weakens the king side a bit, though if black manages to regroup with bishop f8, bishop g7, I think this would be better version for black because the bishop on e7 is not that great.
I agree with you. And what I'm worried about is Elina's time management. She's down to 49 seconds, which is a huge difference. Kateryna still has over 4 minutes. And it's Elina who is used to playing online chess who is intimidated here in the first game.
Yeah, that's very interesting, actually, because Elina really used a lot of time. But we have to say that it's not an easy position to play with black pieces. Two bishops and bishop on d4 is just very strong. I like the move queen d5. That's a very nice move because we didn't want to defend the f6 knight with just queen g5. That would be very weird. It could come under some tactics. But queen d5 offers a queen exchange, and without queens, it would be not so easy for white to convert it into something. That's why Kateryna doesn't want to trade it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, queen f4 in order to keep the queens on the board, and knight h5, forcing immediately another question where the queen will go. Elina is insisting on that queen trade, which I think is a good idea since her king is weaker than the white king.
Yeah, and if she doesn't trade it now, let's say queen e2, then knight f4, and suddenly Elina is going to have the initiative on the king side. That's white f3.
Bishop c5 to trade the pair of bishops. Elina has played really accurate moves in the past couple of moves, I feel like, and that makes white's life more difficult. If you want to get an advantage, there's a pin on the d5, so she cannot take on c5 because of rook takes d2.
That is true, and it's very impressive because she doesn't have so much time. She has some seconds on the clock, and she's playing so precisely. Her idea and her plan is very clear. She wants to get rid of the two bishop and any kind of trade, let's say bishop versus knight or bishop trade would be relief for black. And now there are no more bishops, and what can black do is just try to trade everything on d file. Let's say if rooks are gone, then knight and queen versus knight and queen and bishop. It should be easy draw.
Yes, the only question is the time. 17 seconds left for Elina, and there's only a 1 second increment. That's not much.
That's really not much, and still this pin on a1 h8 diagonal can be a bit tricky, though rook c5 I like very much because in case of queen d4 e5 would come, and after queen c7 I guess white has to trade it with queen c7, rook c7, and I think that black solved all problems. Then in the end game, what's most important is that you have to bring your king in the center. So maybe king f8, king e7, we will see on the board with king f1 and king d2, but there won't be much for white.
I agree with you. It's a big relief for black that she has managed to first trade the queens, then get rid of the bishop, and now she's trading the rooks as well. She has been defending very well for the amount of time she has on the clock. This is impressive technique.
Yeah, that's really impressive, and this looks pretty drawish. And now we will see, I think, Elina's skills, online skills, because when you have such endgame, there are still tricks going on, but she's very precise. And for the first game, for a warm-up, it's a perfect game from Elina.
I agree with you. She must be very happy about her play, and I think she will try to speed up in the upcoming games because 9 seconds and she still has to defend. That's a nerve-wracking start. But overall, she has defended a difficult position. So this is a game that Elina will be happy about, and Kateryna will, of course, regret that she may have had an advantage, but it wasn't enough for a full point.
Yeah, there are some tricks going on still because the maneuver with king c4, king b3, and king a4. Now we have to change a, b, c, b, and still white will have a passer on the queen side. But once again, Elina is doing great by expanding in the center with f5 and e4. She's also creating the passer on the king side. And this should be a draw, but in blitz with 5 seconds on the clock.
2.
Oh my God.
Getting nervous.
Anything can happen.
Yes, and the knight is a tricky piece. Earlier, there was a threat of a fork. Of course, it's Elina who has to remark h4. Look at this move to break through.
Yeah, I like it because then f4, e3 is, we will also have passer, and g5, hg, king g5, and king h4 will block the h pawn. So objectively, it's a draw, but it's not very... Oh, that's a very nice trick. Knight c3, knight b5, and once again, there is h pawn and a bad bishop.
Oh, no time, no time.
Oh my God.
She flagged.
Oh my God.
She flagged. It was a draw position. The moment she flags what Sopiko is describing, if she takes the pawn, this is a draw because the color of the corner is the wrong one. She can lose the g pawn and it's still a draw. Whoa.
And we could see Elina's face. She was so disappointed. She was like, yeah, she could not manage to take the pawn on b5. And yeah, wow.
Maybe she was calculating if she gets into any trouble where she needs to give up the g pawn, if there's a Zugzwang where she would need to push the g pawn, but still it's just almost clinching the draw, and then she flagged.
Yeah, that's an online chess. I think in real chess you would never flag because it's like going check and you take it right away.
Yeah.
But online chess, it's very different from real chess. And wow, what a game. And we have another game starting. Elina is a d4 player and it is happening on the board. So far, they are not showing any kind of surprise preparation, though this is new from Elina. Usually, she's playing she's playing versus King Indian, the G3 variation, or G3 Grunwald as well. But this is some sort of system where you just get rid of the bishop. Again, we have this C3, D4, E3. pawn structure. And it's very interesting for white, especially in blitz. I think I used it many times also. Anna, you're not d4 player, right?
No, I haven't switched to the right side just yet. Tell us more about this structure, the c3, e3 structure in d4 openings.
I like when black allows that white takes on c5, because then black has to work to get back this c5 pawn. Usually black manages to get it back, but it's a big relief that our bishop is not on c1 and it's on g5. And then the normal plans, like we have in triangle Slav or in Miran positions, you just want to hold on this extra pawn on c5, and once it's taken, you want to get some squares. For example, now after knight c5, knight c5, queen c5, some sort of knight e5 is a possibility. Bishop f4 also comes to mind, or queen d4. Queen d4, ed4, I think it is in white's favor. So I think Kateryna will try not to trade it. And but going back to c7 would run into bishop f4.
Yes, I like this position for white. As you pointed out, the trade on d4 favors white, but if you cannot trade, where do you place the queen? Other squares are queen a5 or queen c6, but I'm not a big fan of c6 because of potential knight e5s. And the queen on a5, it feels a little awkward, especially after this queen leave, which I really like for white. Otherwise, there would have been a discovered attack with knight e4. She steps out of the long diagonal and starts creating initiative on the king side.
Right, queen h4. I like this move. It already takes some initiative on the king side with bishop h6, knight g5 having in mind, or some normal rook d1. At some point, rook d1, rook d4 might also be a plan. And sometimes we will also see moves like rook d2, rook d1, and just doubling on the d file, and having this queen on h4 just to keep the moves like bishop h6 and knight g5. Trading the light squared bishop, I think it favors black, because then light squares might be a tiny bit weak. For example, rook c8, rook c4 for black can be an option.
I agree with you, and it's just about to happen on the board with the queen on b5 putting pressure on the b2 pawn. Suddenly this position is turning in black's favor. Of course, this is still too early to call it advantage, but it is black who is taking now the initiative.
Yeah, I like it for black as well, because white did not manage anything yet, but rook c4, as I said, and it is played, might not be that dangerous. Maybe rook d4 can be an option, or queen h3.
Mm-hmm. Queen h3, and now we shall see how can black continue. It's not so easy to put more pressure on white. The e7 pawn is a target, so you can't just simply jump away with the knight. h5. That prepares. Yes, I like it.
Yeah, it kind of stops the bishop h6 and knight g5 moves. But what I like for black is just to have the normal minority attack. So maybe there is an option for black to go with queen back, maybe queen, I don't know where is good place, because queen c6 runs into knight e5, but I do want to play b5, a5 at some point.
Mm-hmm. I like your idea to expand the minority attack on the queen side. That could come later on. Now we shall see where the rook goes. If you go back all the way to c8, that's what she decided on, and queen f3, because the queen was already misplaced on the h file after h5.
Yeah, and now knight on d2 is not a great piece, but at least it stops knight e4 moves. Queen a4, it was a bit pity, because then black allowed indeed queen e2. And is this queen c2 a very scary pinning? Because white can go rook dc1 and probably queen f5, sorry, bothers the g5 bishop a bit. But then once again, knight f3.
She decides to take on f6. It's an interesting choice to go for the position with knight versus bishop, where this bishop on f6 is a really strong one, but perhaps she was afraid of future knight jumps and decided that this is easier to defend with a knight on d4 later.
I agree with you, and I do like Black's position at this moment because I see that Black has more free play, and with a6 and b5, some sort of minority attack going on, Black is more active.
I also like Black's position a lot. In terms of the time management, what we see is that Elina has managed to speed up. The first game for her was really nerve-wracking in terms of the big time advantage that Kateryna had from early on in the game. It was 4 minutes versus 40 seconds, which is unpleasant. Now Elina is keeping track of the time management way better than before. She even has more time than Katya. But the position is good for Black. I agree with you. It's an initiative, slight advantage.
For Black, it is indeed, and the bishop is much better, I think, than the knight, and I like how Kateryna is using the light squares. We can see many maneuvers from Black side, like first queen was on f5, first it was on b5, then it was on f5, now back to queen side, and it's all because there is no light squared bishop. So the trade of bishop d7 and bishop b5 was very, very smart.
I agree with you. And now we see the plan that you have mentioned earlier, expanding on the queen side and potentially aiming for this pawn break with b4 in the right moment. Of course, this is not the moment yet. White is protecting the square with 3 pieces. G4! Elina's trademark attack is coming.
That's where Elina shows the claws. I like G4 very much, though I don't see much going on the H file, because if, for example, you do everything and you have king on e2, rook h1, queen h3, there is still no mate because of the very strong g7 bishop. And with g4, we know that pawns don't go back, and it's a weakening move.
That pawn is falling, even without knight f4. There was no way to stop this pawn from being captured if you push rook g4 check, and then Black is going to take the pawn. Instead, she went for knight f4, but after g5, she cannot keep the pawn on the board. She's about to lose g4. There's just no knight jump that could save it.
It's a difficult start for Elina because she wanted to try something not to get suffocated on the queen side, but g4 maybe was a bit too much.
I think there's... Okay. Yeah, there was a tricky move here after g5, rook b1. Elina not moving the knight away because b3, fork is a bigger threat, but queen c2 is a smart move. Now the knight can jump. So she did manage to save the pawn with this rook b1. Very nice move. I didn't see that resource.
That's very nice. That's indeed very nice because you cannot take the e3. Can you take the e3 pawn? Oh, wow. You can, but this rook is kind of trapped in the center. So because of g5, you don't have many things going on. And now we see that with this resource, white is pawn down, but white is kind of active. Knight b5, now pawns are equal. But this is very complicated endgame. I don't know what's going on. I don't know who to choose now because I also like the 2 pawns on the queen side. And I don't know if the d5 pawn is, I think it's weak and white can use it as a weakness with rook d2 and rook d1. A lot of things happened in this game. This is very exciting.
I know, I wish we could go into detail and this moment when rook b1 happened, but so many moves have been played since that I need to catch up with the current position to rook g1, this endgame, and we shall see whether Black still has any winning chances. She's creating a g-pass pawn, but that pawn, because of the pin, is about to fall. Bishop e3 was the threat. If in case of f takes g4, bishop e3 would have picked up the rook. Tactical motives everywhere in this game, even in the endgame.
I love the tiny tactics we see in this game, all small tiny tactics where you defend the pawn with tactics you cannot defend directly, but there are lots of things going on, and even knight f5.
Wow.
Great.
Another tactical motive, because it can't be captured, the e8 rook is hanging, and if you take on e1, knight takes h6, intermediate move is a check.
It is. And if after knight f5, black cannot do anything, then g4 pawn is also lost. And wow, such great play from Elina.
Yes, this is exactly where she's extremely strong at. Elina Danielian, she's famous for her attacking skills, and even in endgame, she spotted this tactical motive. Kateryna going down to 15 seconds, and she doesn't find a way to save the pawns.
Oh yeah, bishop d2. We can now take on e5 and take another pawn with check, rook g4, king f7, and knight probably d4 or knight d6 is also tempting to go check and knight b7 afterwards. As if we manage to take the a5 pawn, then it's going to be disaster.
Yes, now the knight will go to d4, and it is 2 pawns up. All that she needs to worry about is that the pawns on the queen side are all on dark squares. So after bishop c1, how do you save the pawns? b4. Okay, trade, then a takes b4. That saves the a3 pawn. And if bishop takes a3, b takes a5. 8 seconds left for Kateryna.
Ooh, a4, that's a very smart move because it keeps some kind of counter chances if on a3 pawn. But unfortunately, after knight c2 and b5, the a4 pawn is lost. So this position looks really lost when you're also low on time. 2 seconds. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's incredible how the tables turned in this game. It was Kateryna pressing, trying to win that pawn on g4, and then even the endgame seemed to be favorable for black with the g4 push, but she did not see. Whoa!
Oh my God! Rook h2, knight h2. It was a blunder, but maybe it was a mouse sleep because definitely rook one was Kateryna's move.
Okay. We will not know, and the position was already winning for Elina. So even if Kateryna did not blunder the rook, it was going downhill anyway. And now it's a 1-1. Elina managed to tie the score. What a start to this match!
This is exciting. I was looking forward to this match because I thought it's going to be crazy. And yeah, they don't let me down. And we have French. As I mentioned, Elina started to play French recently. Main repertoire was Caracan, and we have the ED system, which I also used to play when I started to play E4. And now we have, I think, very, very complicated position as Elina once again, lets white to take the pawn on c5. Sort of same motive what we've seen in the first game. And so far, I like it for white, but I never know what's going on. I will never know.
I agree with you. These middle games are very rich from both sides. It's an isolated pawn for black. That means that structurally that's the weakness, but black has a lot of play for it. The squares that you control thanks to this isolated pawn in the center and the initiative you can get because of your active minor pieces. So it's going to be a very interesting game. And I still can't believe what we have just witnessed. I'm trying to recover from, first of all, that fourth rank attack and the g4 about to fall, but then this tactical motive with rook b1 and the the end game was crazy too. So what a match. Guys, let us know in the chat. We are of course watching the chat on Twitch and Chess TV. Welcome everybody. This is the first speed chess championship for the top female players in the world. It's an 8-player field for $20,000. This is the first match between the top ranked player, Kateryna Lagno, reigning Blitz champion, and the qualifier from our open qualifier tournament, Elina Danielian. Both of them are grandmasters and good friends, but here there's no friendship over the board, right, Sopiko?
Yes, no friendship, especially when there is online tournament. Anything can happen, and this is so far very exciting. About the game, we have already isolated pawn, which I'm a bit worried for black because generally I like to play with isolated pawn because there are some sort of motives to attack with knight e4 and then rook f8 f5. Queen usually goes to h6, but in this case, these things are not possible because bishop on e3, and we already have rook on e8. And as I know, if you trade pieces and when you have isolated pawn, that's not very smart because then the isolated pawn will be weaker. We have to use the isolated pawn to attack. So,
indeed, that's exactly what I learned myself. When I was a kid, my trainer would tell me the more minor pieces you trade, the better for the one attacking against the isolated pawn. So if you have an isolated pawn, you want to have 4 or 3 minor pieces because that will give you the possibility to attack. But the less minor pieces, the more likely that this pawn is a target and not something that will give you power in your middle game position.
I think Elina is thinking what is going on if black takes queen c2 right now. There might be some kind of tactics going on with maybe queen g3 or it's very interesting what will happen after queen c2, maybe knight e7, rook e7, bishop g5, though it doesn't seem very threatening.
This is a possibility for black to capture on c2. I'm showing it on our analysis board. And then what happens with this pin and the pressure on f6?
Yeah, I cannot figure out yet what is exactly going on because we cannot play rook c1, unfortunately, because the rook is hanging. So we have to do something. If we go queen c2, rook c3, then queen b2. But definitely something was going on after queen c2 because Elina played knight e4.
She decided to not capture the pawn, as Sopika mentioned. There were other options too for white, just to briefly show it. Now we need to catch up with the current position where Kateryna is once again doing very well in terms of keeping a lot of time on the clock. 4 minutes for Katya and only 2 minutes left for Elina.
Right. That's very. Kateryna is doing very good, as you said, with time, especially that she doesn't play so much online chess. It's great to have more time, and the position also is very interesting. I think bishop d4 was the move also on queen c2. That's why Elina did not play it, because after bishop d4, there are lots of things going on with knight e7 and bishop f6, and you don't want to damage your king side. That's why knight e4 was played, and after bishop e4, bishop f6.
Yes, this was a smart trade. Even like this, the knight on f5 is a very strong piece in the attack, since it is already putting pressure on the g7 pawn, and there can be tactical motives. For instance, a move here, I don't think it makes that much sense, but the possibility is knight h6 check, because the knight on f6 would be hanging after the capture.
Yes, there's a big possibility of that, and also, g6.
Inviting knight h6, she wants to play king g7 to protect the knight.
Right, though I'm a bit afraid. Yeah, knight e3 I like very much, and I'm a bit afraid how are we going to defend the d5 pawn?
Yes, that's a big question, but Kateryna is posing on Elina right now. There isn't a fourth piece from black that can join, and as you can see, white is attacking that pawn with every single of her pieces, all of them. The only issue that could be there in the defense, if there is something about the back rank, since it was weak, there was no way for the king to escape. That's why she goes h3, but that gave time for Elina to protect the pawn.
Right. Only thing I'm worried for white is that we don't have pawns on a2, b2, c3. Then I would think that it would be easier for white to create something. Now we have doubled pawns on b file, and even if the d5 is lost after many trades, the game might anyway be drawn.
Yes, I agree with you that with doubled pawns on the queen side, even if white manages to win the pawn, which is not yet the case, it still could be a draw. Now, since this is once again a game where Katya has more time, so it's a slightly better position for white, at least slightly better, and she has the time advantage. I think in practice, that's of course a really good winning chance, because she's putting pressure on her opponent in every possible way. So it's Elina who will have to defend very precisely and quickly.
Yeah, and I like the trade knight g4 and hg4, not queen g4 or rook g4, but hg4, because we know that usually in end games after queen g4, h5, it's very good to have the structure of f7, g6, and h5. And with hg4, white does not allow it. She opens the h file and also can have some sort of attack on h6 pawn with rook h1 and queen d2. She's controlling the whole board.
Yes, and that's a smart move too, to bring the queen to the d5. She can also go for queen b5 later to pin the pawn over the fifth rank, and instead what we see is b4, a trade, and now rook takes b4, attacking also the b6 pawn, so black has to take care of both of these weak pawns.
Right, that was probably in white's favor, though what black should be careful with, I think, is the b4 c4 moves, because if maybe right away c4 after rook f6 or any other move.
Yes, since there's a pin on the d file, c4 cannot be captured. There she goes, c4, c takes d5, or rook takes d5 can be next move, and that wins the pawn and creates a pass pawn.
Yeah, and then it's pretty difficult. Oh, queen e2. I thought rook d6 was a must, not to allow. But queen e2 is very good move, because what I did not see is that she's attacking the f2 pawn, and she will have now rook f2 is a big threat. And if we try to take it with queen e2, rook f2 is again a big threat. So queen e2 actually is a very strong move. And I don't know how white should defend it. Maybe rook f1 or rook f4.
Katya is definitely taking the time to face this critical moment. Queen e2, she's a pawn down, but as you pointed out, the attack over the f2 square is really strong. Rook f4 to trade the f6 rook makes a lot of sense. 8 seconds left for Elina, and now this is a rook endgame where white has a very strong pass pawn supported by the Tarrasch rook, that is this d1 rook.
But I think that black rook is very active on second rank, and after rook b2, rook d3, what is the way to activate h5? I like h5 very much because it creates a passer pawn, so king can never go very far. Great skills from Elina, great skills.
It's impressive to see her defend difficult middle game and end game positions with 10 seconds on the clock. It's the second time she does it. This was the very first game of the match as well. And once again, it feels like she has everything under control, regardless of having no time to think at all.
Yeah, and it's definitely skill to play so great in the end game when you don't have time. The moves come automatically, and it shows how strong both players are.
H5, and Kateryna is considering how to react to that pawn push. It's not easy because, as you mentioned, if black has a pass pawn, that's already enough counterplay for black to hold this position. You can't just go king d4, rook c3 calmly, although she may still try, of course, king d4, and then bring the rook over to the c5 or to the h5 to try to capture the pawn.
Yeah, I think GH was the way to play, because if white played G5, then H5 would be defended. Now, at least, white has some ideas to capture the pawn and go with the king to the other side, like it happens in the game. G3, king
4, 3. I'm
my
just going to
God.
be counting down the time because Elina got flagged in the first game, and now it's 15 seconds too for Katya. This is going to be nuts. A rook game where both players can lose on time.
Yeah, and we have to actually mention that this is very nice way, because now pawns don't have moves, and they are repeating the moves. Though there is no threefold repetition, they can repeat as many times as they want. But good thing for white is that black king cannot move, because then white pawn would push and she would promote it into queen.
They keep repeating moves every time there's king h4, rook h check comes, rook h1 check comes, and in the end it's a threefold repetition and draw. But what a spectacular game. Wow.
Right, it was great. It was great to see such skills from both players, but I'm really impressed from Elina's skills, how great she plays under such time pressure.
I can only say the same. I wish I had the same skills, but it's 10 seconds left for her and she defends precisely. I would have 1 minute left and just go nuts, and I'm losing.
Right. I think Elina prepared this structure for this match because she usually doesn't play the Trompovsky line with bishop g5, but she has some sort of same ideas that we've seen in the first game with knight f3, c3, but now she decided to take on f6 pretty early, and she will do the same with the pawns. Oh no, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I thought she would go c3, but there is more aggressive c4 on the board.
Indeed. And before we continue with the analysis of this position, let me just give a shout out to Planet Chess Club, and thank you so much for the raid. Welcome everyone coming from the channel of Planet Chess Club. This is the first women's chess championship with the top ranked player, #1 of the tournament, and also reigning Blitz champion Kateryna Lagno, trying to win this first match against her good friend and 6-time Armenian champion Elina Danielian, who has qualified from our qualifier tournament just a few weeks ago. We have seen 3 spectacular games. It's a 1.5 result, but I think it's fireworks and we can only expect more and more of this exciting chess.
Totally agree with you. What's going on? I don't know. It's possible now to take for black on c4, I think, d takes c4. But d takes c4, the reason I don't like it is that white's bishop on f1 is still on its starting position. So black usually does it when the bishop is already out. Then it seems that white lost the tempo with bishop e2, d takes c4, bishop c4. I like queen b6, and what I like is that black has 2 bishops and open g5.
Yes, I also like that fact, and that she's waiting with the capture on c4. That's very instructive, as Sopiko said, that you don't want to take on c4 because that would help white develop the bishop. You want this bishop to move first and then have to waste the tempo on taking back on c4.
Yeah, and queen d2 is a smart way to wait. Now Elina still decides to take it, and no, sorry, Kateryna decides to take it.
It's interesting that she decided that she had to capture instead of being able to wait. Probably she was worried about c takes d5 because, yes, you need to deal with that threat. And if she cannot defend the pawn on d5 properly, you also don't really want to allow c takes d5, c takes d5, in c takes d5, e takes d5, destroying the black pawn chain. That's why she took in the end on c4.
Right, and interesting is where would they castle? I think bishop d7, and I think that white should castle on the king side, but maybe long castle can be also interesting, because would you be afraid of short castle, rook g8, and something going on g file, especially if you're playing the very strong Elina Danielian?
I know, but I think I would be scared on both flanks because there's either the semi-open G file or the open C file. None of them is promising, but you have to castle at some point. So castle king side on the board and D5, opening up the position because the black king is still in the middle of the board. I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. This is a very typical breakthrough. When you have isolated pawn, you just want to get rid of it. The first thing that comes to mind is d5, and d5 is especially strong in this position because after e takes d5, it's awful, completely awful position for black. I think Elina got what she wanted from the opening. I think she was looking forward to get some initiative going on the king side and to have some sort of attack in mind.
I also really like white's position, and this is the typical middle game where Elina is extremely strong, attacking chess and having the initiative. The black king side is already vulnerable because of the double F pawns, and if there could be a rook lift, for instance, with rook e4, rook g4, putting more pressure on the h7 pawn, this is looking suspicious. At the same time, black can't really take on d5 either. I'm drawing lots of arrows. But if you take on d5 instead of rook d8, that's a disaster because it weakens the pawn structure in itself. And knight takes d5. That knight on d5 is a beast. The a5 knight is struggling to be kept on the board. So that would have been a very bad move. Instead, she goes for the development of the rook, not taking on d5.
Yes, you read their mind. Rook e4 is on the board, f5, and I guess rook h4 will follow. What I like is that white has something going on queen side, on king side, sorry, and this knight on a5. Isn't it awful?
It is. Where is it going? There's just nowhere where you can jump to. It's basically trapped. The only difference is that it's not attacked. But if it's such a bad piece, you almost don't want to waste time trying to attack it. If it takes 2-3 moves, you just leave the knight on a5, let it suffer, because that's basically a virtual piece down. That knight is out of the game.
And I think b4 was the big problem for black because rook h4 not only looks at the king side, but also b4 is very strong. Now we cannot play it because queen d5, and we don't want to trade d5 knight for a5 knight, but probably knight f4, knight h5 is very strong for white.
I like that knight maneuver a lot, and after knight f4, white is threatening to go b4 fork. This position is looking so suspicious for black. At the same time, it was black who decided to open the d5 because she is aiming to create something with this pin if the knight goes away. Bishop b5, but I don't really think she has the time for it. b4 comes anyway.
Yeah, b4 comes anyway, and again, now knight c6 is possibility for black because ed5, I think, was forced. Otherwise, knight was trapped, but it looks very ugly for black.
I agree with you. It's Elina now calculating the most precise variation. Knight f4 is looking tempting. What else do you think she's considering here?
I think knight f4.
Knight f4 is on the board, but she decided to spend some more time than usual on that one move.
Knight h5 and queen g5 and b4. There are so many threats. I don't know how Kateryna will deal with them. It's a lot of things. Knight c6, I think, is the move because first you have to take care of b4. But maybe bishop b5, can it be bishop b5, queen a5? That's not good move.
Yes, bishop b5, the knight is hanging immediately, and there's a pin on the 5th rank.
Right. I don't know, it looks very, very bad for black.
I agree that knight c6 looks the best among all the bad options because you need to deal with b4 no matter what and try to bring back the knight. But knight h5 will come anyway, and this kingside attack is extremely powerful. Also, the pawn structure of black is terrible. So even if there's no mate, even in an endgame position, this could be trouble. But I don't think we'll get to see an endgame in this game.
Yeah, it's very dangerous what's going on here with...
Bishop b5?
Bishop b5. Why not queen a5?
She played it anyway, and there was no queen takes a5, but instead b4 immediately played by Elina. 20 seconds left for Katya.
Right. I don't really get what was going on queen a5, but this is also a piece, right?
It is a piece up after capturing with the rook, defending the bishop on d3. A piece up for Elina, and no time for Katya. Elina will take the lead.
Yeah, Elina is so far playing great, and I think this is hopeless position already. And as we have 90 minutes for this time control, I think it's better to resign in this position and start a new game.
You're right there that it also matters that we only have 90 minutes for this portion. So if you have a completely lost position, if you feel like this is not possible to save, it's better to resign and go for more games than fighting this for the next 2 minutes and still losing it. Katya doesn't resign. She says that maybe I can double rooks on the d5 and have some chances.
Right. Maybe she's right because if she can take the c5 pawn and then somehow attack the a pawn as well, but I don't know. I feel that this is going to end pretty soon as piece is a piece.
A piece is a piece. The only chance of black is that there will be something because of the back rank. Rook d1 was a threat. Therefore, g4 is an extremely strong move, allows the king some room on g2, and also this trade on g4 only favors white. A piece up, and Elina is winning comfortably and will take the lead after having had a really rough start and difficult positions.
Right, right. And g takes f5. Now rook b4. Again, b pawns are lost. This is really already, it's clear that this is hopeless. But women, we are fighting. We're always fighting. But yeah.
That's true, but Katya said here that it was enough fight and it's useful to keep more time overall. It's 42 and a half minutes left from this portion. So remember, guys, we are going to see the first format that is 5 minutes plus 1 second increment for 42 more minutes, and then we switch to 3+1 and 1+1 at the very end.
Ooh, the very end. I'm scared of the very end because I don't know what will be there. If it was real chess, they would throw pieces, but online chess, it's still going to be very crazy. And they repeat the first game actually, where Elina used the Karakan, and we have same position, though g6 is the new move.
Yes, they deviate from the second game with this g6
right.
move. I was thinking myself too, which one was that? But yeah, 4 games we have seen so far, and this is the exact same opening. Elina has been playing the Caro-Kann defense as her main opening against e4, so the two players were very familiar with this option as being the main repertoire in this match. E4 is Kateryna's main first move, so no surprises here. What do you think of this structure in general for black?
Yeah, I'm generally not a big fan myself of this structure because I think that space is very important, and I like that white has space and 2 bishops. But I think it's a nice opening for blitz because there are many tricks, and that's what's important. You might have slightly worse position, but if you know plans and if you know where to put your pieces, then it can get really, really tricky.
I agree with you that it's a good choice for blitz. Now after the capture on e4, this is similar to what we have seen in the previous game, that white has the pair of bishops, more space. So overall, it's a very pleasant position, but it's not easy to crack black's structure with c6, e6, and g6, those spikes in the position that doesn't really allow any pawn breaks for white.
I like what Elina does though, because I think she realized that this bishop on g7 is much better than the bishop on e7, because in that game she anyway played g6, and the idea was to get bishop f8 and bishop g7, and she puts right away in the opening bishop g7. Though what I wonder is that why knight d5 and why not e5? Because usually when you have this pawn structure with c6 and e6 pawns, you want to get rid of one of those. So either sometimes c5 or you play e5. This is main idea. But first, I think she wants to regroup and put her pieces on the right squares, and then maybe she will think of e5, or maybe she doesn't want to play it. So.
I agree with you that normally black is aiming to push c5 or e5 quickly, but instead Elina goes for the knight maneuvers. And what you are seeing from white's perspective, this bishop d2 retreating move, simply the aim is to keep the pair of bishops on the board. Once you have the pair of bishops, you don't really want to let it go, even if the song goes that way. But c4 could come later to chase the knight away from d5. So this is a temporary, little bit passive move, but it's not gonna stay like that for long after having pushed c4, and then the bishop can come back to e3 or to c3.
Right. I'm a bit surprised that Elina goes for c5 because probably, most probably she knows much better than me, but I would play e5 because I think that after c5, this queen and b4 and c4 expanding on queen's side is way more dangerous rather than having pawn on c6 and just trading the pawns in the center. but I trust Elina. I think she knows what she's doing, and let's see how it will continue.
She had to push a5 because b4 was already a threat of winning a piece. You either push a5 to guard the b4 square, or you move the queen away, but there weren't many squares, so I like a5 as an option. But as Topika pointed out, instead of c5, e5 was another alternative, which could have been good as well for black after this trade on e5. We'll not go much into detail because this is a blitz game and we need to see what's going on right now after knight c3.
Yeah, the drawback of a5 is that it gave up a very important b5 square. What's black's dream position, I think, is to create some minority attack on the queen side. So if black manages to put the queen away and play b5, b4 without any problem, then she would be very happy because the bishop on g7 is also great piece helping attack on the queen side. But after knight c3, the b5 square is very weak, so I don't think black can do anything against it.
I agree with you. And now with this trade on c5, it's somewhat less problematic if we look at the position that there's no more pin anymore, but the bishop on b5 is comfortable. And white has all the light squares thanks to having... She's the only one who has the bishop on the light squares, which is very obvious. But if we look at the pawn structure, that all the pawns on the queen side are on dark squares, that leaves holes on light squares.
Yeah, I agree with you. And there is now b4 going on or not? Can we play after, let's say, maybe Elina wants to trade first on d1, but maybe threat for white is to go b4.
b4 is always in the air, and now with this trade on d1 and rook d8, black is aiming to get rid of all the rooks and then potentially the queen too. But even an endgame, a minor piece endgame, if white keeps a pair of bishops, that's still unpleasant for black.
It is, though I'm wondering why Kateryna didn't take on d8, rook d8, queen d8, and b4 looked very, very pleasant because knight could not go anywhere, like knight d7, then queen d1, right? Would it win a piece?
Instead of taking...
Instead of bishop g5, rook d8, queen d8, and b4 would win a piece. Though
wow. Was that a possibility to take on d8, b4 and win the piece? Because what Sopiko is saying that after knight to d7, which is the only square for the knight, queen d1 pins the knight, and how do you defend it? Whoa, that was a missed chance here.
Yeah, that was a really missed chance. And now if after a4 black manages to somehow control the b4 move, ooh, what is this? Bishop h2.
Yeah, let me catch up with the current position because the players have already moved far away from that critical moment that we have just mentioned. All right, bishop f4. Let me just rewind what happened here. H-pawn, Harry started moving up the board, h4, h5, not minding this h2 check, and then bishop f4.
Yeah, I don't know why bishop h2, because usually white goes king f1 by herself. So I don't know what was the idea behind it to have the king on f1. But anyway, maybe queen h2. Maybe this is the idea because after king f1, queen h2 is a possibility. And maybe something with queen h2, queen h1, queen b1, and so on. Maybe it was very smart.
That's a possibility to enter the position, but instead she goes for queen to d6. Now queen d1 is a threat to pick up the pawn, and yeah, you don't really want to allow that check.
I still like white's position, I think, because there is 3 pawns versus 2 on the queen side, and I'm not afraid 4 against 3 in the center. But there are queens on the board, so with all kind of checks with queen d1 and queen h2, I think black should be able to comfortably make a draw here. But now can we play queen h2, or it doesn't make
Yeah, king e1 is a brave move, guarding the d1 square with the king, active king, guys. This is what we learn about endgames. But still, that king on e1 with queen and the knight on the board, that isn't really safe.
Yeah, and g5. G5 is on the board. I think it's very complicated because h5. Generally, we like h5 because then g5 is there and h7 is a little bit weak if white manages to get the queen on b1 h7 diagonal. But we shouldn't forget that also h5 pawn might be pretty weak.
Now she goes king to e2. Interesting king maneuver, king e1, king e2.
Yeah, king e1, king e2. I don't know why queen h2 is not on the board. Probably I'm missing something, but I generally like to attack directly. If I have a chance to attack the pawn, I would do it.
I totally like your idea. I don't know why it did not happen, but g3 stopped it. So earlier, black did have the possibility of playing queen to h2 and questioning whether this h5 pawn can be kept. Queen f3 would have been a way to defend both the g2 and h5 pawns and threaten maybe in the future with queen c6, queen e8. Could that be the reason why she didn't like it? We will not know. She instead went for a different move. Another position is after king e2, h6, g3, f5. I think I have caught up with the game.
Yeah.
27 seconds left for both players.
Ooh, f4. That's tricky. What if I go knight e4? Because after f4, e4 is a forepost for knight, right?
Mm-hmm. Like yes, she goes g4, bishop d3 to prevent knight e4, but that gives up the a4 pawn, and also the b2 pawn is hanging.
What happened in these last two moves?
White's position is collapsing suddenly. Look at the king on e2. This is a pawn down, and also there's so much pressure because black's pieces are more active. So extra material and better pieces.
Oh my god. And I don't like this at all for white because g3 pawn is also something that black is looking at, and knight can jump on both squares, actually, black and white, and it's extra pawn. This is be very difficult. 6 seconds on the clock.
2 extra pawns already, and the g3 pawn also falls. This is gonna be another victory for Elina, who is the underdog in this match. Let's just remind everybody that we have the reigning World Blitz champion here, Kateryna Lagno, and now she's 2 points down in this match against the 6-time Armenian champion, Elina Danielian. Wow.
Yeah, and it's very difficult to play a 90-minute match because you have some sort of strategy for the match and you have openings. So now we see that Elina actually changes all the time her preparation. First, she was playing d4, now knight f3 is on the board. Then she tried also Caracan and French, and she feels good everywhere. It's pretty unpleasant to face it.
Yes, this is definitely true, especially in Blitz when you don't have much time between the two games to adjust always to a new opening. So she has changed every single time she played with the white pieces. It was a different system. And now we see a completely new position on the board. Still the g6, d6 setup that Kateryna likes, the king's Indian defense or pairs against the e4 openings. And now with the fianchetto bishop also for white. How do you like these positions, Sopico? You are a fan of the Catalan in general.
Yeah, I like it for white. I think this is what Elina likes it as well, because when you play knight f3, g3, c4, after d4, there is always an option that you want to go d5. But as I've seen Elina's game, she kind of never goes d5, and she always either likes to take on e5 or just leave this pawn on d4 and let her opponent to take it. So she likes these structures with c4 and e4. I think that it's very interesting for white to play this one. Bishop e6 now that is on the board does not give up the b7 pawn, I guess, or can I take it? Queen b7?
Let's have a look. That's a free pawn. I'm tempted to take it because it also weakens the c6 pawn. So bishop takes c4, then we can then collect the c6 pawn too. Rook b8, queen takes c6. Is there any problem with queen takes b7?
I don't see yet. First, I thought that bishop e6, queen b7, bishop c4 is there, but I don't see anything after queen c6. What I like very much is that Elina, she doesn't trust her opponents. I mean that when your opponent plays bishop e6, she takes time and she considers to take on b7, but still she decides not to.
Yes, instead she moves away from the diagonal. This was a pin, and she may have been afraid that that will cause her problems. But I still think that queen takes b7 could have been a nice option.
Right. I think if she was playing somebody else, lower rated player, the first thing that she would do would be queen b7 because you think, oh, she just blundered a pawn. But when you're playing a world blitz champion, twice European individual champion, such strong player, which we've seen in the interview that she respects her very much. They are friends. You kind of think that, okay, that there should be something under her sleeves. There should be something going on. She cannot just give me pawn for free.
That's the advantage of the higher rated players. And of course, Kateryna having held all those titles, everything but the Women's World Championship, and she was even close to winning the Classical Women's World Championship in November. It depended on one game in the finals against Juve in June, and she would have become the Women's World Champion just half a year ago in Siberia.
Right. Okay. So what do you think? What will happen? Will we get something sharp? Will we get something sharp out of this game or not really?
There's pressure on the c file. I'm eyeing the option of knight d5 because after c takes d5, c takes d5, the queen and the bishop would be hanging. So I'm looking at options with these moves. A thematic sacrifice, especially in the Sicilian defense. I wonder if Elina is thinking of that line, or is there something better for white if knight d5 is that strong at all, or just looks tempting? What do you think, Sofiko?
I think that after knight d7, you mean in this position, in the current position?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that is it possible that b4 is interesting sacrifice with the idea of bishop c4 and b5?
Yeah, I like that idea too. So many interesting options. Knight d5 is something to calculate. b4 is another line to calculate. We shall see how Elina continues. She's going down on time. It's 2 minutes versus 3.5 minutes. So she will need to start making quicker decisions. But so far, she's been doing very well, even when under serious time pressure. We saw her on 10 seconds defending as precisely as AlphaZero would have done it.
That's true. Great comparison.
Well, I hope she won't be offended that I only compare her skills to AlphaZero. I couldn't come up with a better comparison, but I'm really impressed how she did not crack under pressure, especially in that first game when there was a 3-minute disadvantage for the rest of the game. So from the middle game till the very end of the game, she had to struggle with time and a difficult position.
Yeah, and in the first game, she also managed to. She was flagged, but she managed to show great skills because she was about to draw. If she was able to take on b5, then she would draw it very easily. So great play by both players so far. But Elina is being more aggressive, attacking all the time, taking the initiative. So that's why she's having 2-point lead, but we have a long match ahead. So let's see what will happen.
Indeed, this is a long match, and I want to remind everybody that we are looking for the best moments of the match in general. Make sure to clip your favorite parts of today's match as well, and we will choose one of the clips as the best moment of the day. Let's hope that it's going to be yours. Clip your favorite moments throughout this stream, and we will show our favorite choice after the 3+1 portion. That is in about an hour and a half. So you still have more than an hour to come up with some brilliant clips. Make sure to win that prize. If there is a prize, if not, it's just pride, but that's cool too.
That's very tempting. I would also record and I would also clip ourselves and maybe I can succeed.
I'll make you have the Twitch channel already. Sopiko has registered on Twitch, which was the first step. And on Sunday, we'll broadcast together from the Netherlands. So, guys, once I'm in her house, there's no way that the Twitch streams will not begin.
Yeah, once you're in my house, that's when things go bad.
Rook trade on d8, and she takes it with the queen because the a7 pawn was hanging after rook takes d8, a natural response.
What I'm a bit afraid is that this queen on a4 is completely out of play. I don't know what it's doing there. Good thing is that it ties the rook to defend the a7 pawn, but queen is way better than the rook, right?
Yes, definitely. Oh, look at the time, 24 seconds left for Elina. Ooh.
That's real pressure because white cannot get d file so easily. If it was possible to get maybe some kind of maneuver like queen a3, queen b2, queen b1, or queen a1, I still want to get this queen into play, then play rook d1 and have knight on d6. Maybe that's another game, but there are so many moves before you do that.
I agree with you. A5 to make sure that white cannot expand that easily with b4, and to try to free the rook because you don't want to be keeping it on a8 defending the a7 pawn. So this maneuver, a5, queen c7, rook d8, definitely has improved black's position.
Yeah, that's what Elina is doing, queen b2, queen a3, queen b2, but exactly what Kateryna does with f5, expanding on the king side, bishop f6, king f7. In this game, we might see how powerful are two bishops.
Pair of bishops? This has been the theme basically for Katya. Yeah. She tries to collect the pair of bishops every game. 7 seconds left for Elina. I'm getting nervous here.
Ooh, but the position doesn't look good. It looks pretty bad because all pieces, look at the pieces, they are so tied up, and bishop e5, bishop g3 is rook c2 is a nice way to get rid of the rook d2, but we can still play rook c2, rook d2, rook c2, and queen d8 to keep the rook on d file, and it looks very, very bad for white.
She does that with queen d7. That gives up the a5 pawn. That defends the e1 knight. So it's a pawn up for Elina. She's been escaping from very difficult positions, but can she escape this attack?
Oh, I don't know. gf, bishop, queen g4? Queen g4?
It looks like it's about to be a mate because of the queen and the bishops attacking. Yeah. Queen g4 is on the board. 4 seconds left for Elina.
And queen f4, queen h2, that you cannot defend it.
And there's no check on c7. The game is over. Queen h2 mate. There's no defense. What a comeback from Katya. Now it's still a 1-point lead for Elina, but this game has been crucial. Elina was on the attacker's side in this game, and then she ended up losing it.
Yeah, great comeback, and that's what I meant. We never know. The match is so long. We never know what will happen, and I think Kateryna also warmed up a bit, and we will see many more crazy games in coming match.
And another Caracan is on the board, this time for is it the third time? I'm trying to keep up with the number.
Yeah, I think
for the third time, but a different variation. Every time they go for a different variation of the same Caracan line.
Yeah, that is true. But I think Kateryna, she keeps the knight c3 Caracan because she of course tried a lot of things against Caracan. She tried the main lines. She tried with e5, like e4 c6, d4 d5 e5. She tried e4 c6, d4 d5, knight c3, or knight d2, taking on e4, and so on. But recently she started to play knight c3, and she seems to like it very much.
I can understand her. I play that myself. It almost always gives you the pair of bishops, which I'm very much a fan of. So one more time, Katya, having the pair of bishops, more space. This has been the theme of the day for Kateryna's play. Can she win this game and make a comeback to tie the score?
Oh, that's the question. That's the question of the game. And we still have bishop on e7 and knight f6, though I liked what Elina did in the previous game, playing g6 right away. But Elina seems to not repeat in a row what she did in the previous game. First she tried bishop e7, then g6. I think g6 was way more interesting.
And you guys can see stats on our layout. I really like the one about the odds to win and how the graphs are moving. So clearly at the beginning, it was almost a 90% chance for Katya after she won the first game, but now it's getting really close. Even though Elina is a point up in the match, it's still the prediction is still not that clearly favoring Elina because of being the underdog. She's lower rated and Katya is the world blitz champion.
Right. Difficult opponent for anybody.
Oh, for sure. Have you faced these two players? And if so, how was the result in those games?
Yeah, I never played Kateryna, but I've played Elina at European individual championship, and I was pretty easily crushed.
I can say I played against both, and I don't know how, but I have a draw against each of them. I think I should never ever play against them, so I can say that I have 50% against both Katya and Elina, because it's not easy to not lose to them.
Yeah, that's great result. You have to be proud.
Thank you. That's why I retired. I cannot make it better.
No, we need you back.
Pair of bishops still and the slight advantage because of having more space as well. But one more time, the same question. How can white increase this advantage? And look at this. Same strategy from Elina, aiming to trade queens.
Right. When somebody is asking about players and generally about women playing chess, they are saying that women are very aggressive, they want to attack. But I think this match shows that it's also possible to be aggressive and attacking in the end games where you want to trade your queens. Elina is always trying to trade the queens. And then she shows some great skills of tiny tactics.
Yes, it's true that she had tactical motives in endgames as well. So normally we would think that, oh, if you're an attacking player, that you'll always want to keep the queens on the board. But she's a very objective player, and she knows that if her king is weaker than the opponent's king, you do want to get rid of the queens.
That's true. And we have now queens on the board. It would be much easier for black if there was no queens. But I think that white has a little bit of tiny advantage because of the dark squares. I think that dark squares is pretty weak for black, and it's easier for white to create something.
Mm-hmm. I fully agree with you, and I can't wait to see how white will keep increasing the initiative. The only piece that's not doing anything is the A1 rook, so I'm hoping it will come into play soon. Doubling rooks on the E file could be a possibility. But now look one more time, insisting on that queen trade, and that's not easy to prevent.
I like it because the way there was a little tactic because it's important to have rook on d7. Otherwise, you cannot play queen f4. If rook was on d8, then after queen f4, rook d5 would be a problem because after queen g3, there would be an intermediate check with rook d8. And rook d7 was very important to make queen f4 possible.
That's really instructive, and so instructive that I'm going to show it by making a move that does not exist. Ignore me, guys, but if the position was this, in the moment when the queen comes to f4, rook takes d5 would have won on the spot, since there's this intermediate move that Sopiko described. Beautiful tactical motive.
Yeah, but Elina, she of course sees it and she played rook d7, that's why. But I still like white's position because f2, g3, h4 is generally what white wants to prevent the knight from jumping to f4 square and any other squares. And I think in this case, bishop is better than the knight.
I agree with you that without any jumps such as knight f4, the knight is looking great on d5, but it doesn't have any targets. So it's comfortable, but how do you do more than just having a comfortable piece? At the same time, that piece is blocking the d5. So you can't really make it harmonious between having the open 5 for your rooks and an outpost for your knight.
Though I'm a bit afraid now because bishop doesn't have anywhere to go, and I think knight c7, Kateryna missed knight c7 because maybe it was better to free the diagonal for bishop, maybe rook c2 or a rook anywhere else. But queen g4 allows knight c7 and the trade.
Which is good for black. We have been describing that the bishop was better in that position, but now how do you prevent this trade without having squares for your bishop? Bishop d3 is not possible, and if bishop c4, oh, b4, intermediate move, but that offers that offers the c3 pawn.
Yeah. That's interesting decision. Rook c3, what happens? B takes a5.
I assume she wants to take the a5 pawn, but that's doubled pawns on the a5. Is this really something that Katya wants? It's true that after that, if you take on b5, suddenly you have created a potential pass pawn for white.
Yeah, I would play queen f8 right now, not to allow queen b4, though c5 is also a possibility. Rook c5, queen b4 maybe, or maybe black wants to play rook d5 anyway, and rook c5, rook d5 already pins the bishop, and it won't be easy for white to defend the b5 bishop.
I like your ideas, and I also thought that queen f8 made a lot of sense to control the b4 square earlier. It did not happen immediately. Rook c5 was a choice of Elina. Elina. I'm like confusing. Like, who's playing with what color? And I'm getting lost in thought.
Oh, that's very easy to get lost with so many games changing, and we never know who is white, who is black. But it's okay. I think they can forgive us.
I hope so, because now after rook c1, white cannot take on c1. That is, Katya can't take because of queen takes c1 picking up the rook. That was a check and a double attack.
But now black is going to be very active after queen d2. There's a double attack on rook and pawn, and white should definitely choose to defend the rook, and it gives up a pawn.
How do you see this now with only 1 minute, a bit over 1 minute for both players? h4 marching, Harry, h4, h5 on the board to weaken the black king, but there's a trade on b5 and the a5 pawn disappeared.
Right, she doesn't have yet anything. Queen g5 could have been a possibility, or queen a4, no, queen a4, queen d8. I don't know, I think that queen g5 was interesting option for white, because now it's just pawn down and there is no attack. If white manages to have, let's say, queen f4, h6, then it's different position, because white has constantly the mating ideas with queen f6. But now that black controls everything, I think it's just a healthy extra pawn for black.
Yes, and that's good news for Elina, who is already 1 point up in this match. This could be the second point. This means that after this game, with 10 minutes left, less than 10 minutes for the 5+1 portion, we are witnessing the last few games for Blitz, and then comes 3+1, which is actually the favorite time control of Elina. Is this looking bad for Katya, who is here the favorite in this match and the highest rated player?
I don't know, because I think Katya is also used to the 3 minutes +1 time control, because she play usually the real tournaments are with this time control. And when you have 2 extra minutes, for me personally, it's a bit confusing. I don't know to play faster or to slow down a bit, where to use time, where not to. So it's more usual time control, but this portion was just great to follow.
Yes, now 12 seconds left for Katya, and she has to defend this pawn down rook endgame, where the black king is about to approach the b pawn.
Yeah, it doesn't look good for white, because b pawn is too much advanced, and which means that it is weak. And after rook d6, I think the pawn can be lost easily if I play king d4, rook b5, king c4.
Yes, very active king, and if the second pawn falls, then this game will once again be a victory for the underdog, Elina Danielian.
Yeah, and that would be 2-point lead, right?
It is a 2-point lead with not much time left for the 5+1 portion. The smarter chess match prediction which is the Chess.com odds calculation systems, they predicted 5 points for Katya in this portion and 4 points for Elina. So it's the complete opposite what we are witnessing. Against the odds, it's Elina who is leading with 1 point, and it can be a 2-point lead after this game.
Yeah, it's surprising, but I think that's what we fans and spectators love to see, that it's not only that we're playing strong player and you just have to think, oh, she's so strong, I have no chance. We see that everybody has chance, and yes, Kateryna is very strong, but it's very tricky to have Elina's style in the blitz.
It's true. Elina has a very dynamic, aggressive style, which in blitz games has caused many problems to Katya. Even in end games, it was Elina who came up with tactical resources, changing the course of the game. This is another victory for the 6-time Armenian champion. 2-point lead with 1 more game to go.
Yeah, 1 more game, and now Elina again plays another. She never repeats the opening in a row. Now we see Trompovsky. She used it already, and she took on f6 in the previous game. Now let's see what she will do.
I'm curious because she has been changing every single game her opening, but now we once again see a structure with bishop takes f6, and once again Katya with the pair of bishops. I just love the thematic tournaments. They decided they would show us, is it the bishop or is it the knight that's stronger? That's the theme of the day.
Yeah, I love pair of bishops, but I must admit that my favorite piece is knight. So, because we see that it can be very, very tricky, but usually pair of bishops is big advantage.
I agree with you. I love the pair of bishops and also a great knight. A knight outpost on d5 against the Najdorf system, for instance.
Don't do that. It's my weakness.
If I could get there though, because your openings are way too strong. I'm talking about the video series Topika recorded on the Najdorf. I feel like everyone who has watched those videos, I don't get ever a single tiny advantage with white, because everybody knows how to refute my opening, the bishop e2 line.
Too much pressure on me, too much pressure. I cannot handle it.
Isolated pawn on d4 and doubled pawns on f6. What do you think of this structure?
We've seen that already, and we've seen the d5 breakthrough in the previous game. Now what is different is that the king is already to the king's side, so there is short castle on the board, and d5, it might not be that powerful as in the other game, though I think it's always an idea.
Mm-hmm. f5 to open up the long diagonal for the bishop. That makes the piece more active, and in general it helps to control the center, the e4 square in particular. The question will be for black is the development of the c8 bishop and not allowing d5 again, because that was a disaster in the previous game for Katya.
Right. I think what white should try is to kick the knight out from b6 to be able to play d5 with comfort. So a4 comes to my mind. And if a5, then b5 square, maybe we can use at some point.
I like that idea, and also knight e5, because this knight is very comfortable in the center. Knight takes c6 is usually not something that white is aiming for. It's tempting to take the bishop, but that doesn't give much under normal circumstances, because this b pawn now arrives on c6. It is an isolated pawn, but it's not doing bad because it's controlling the d5 square, and you may push c5 in the future.
Yeah, and now I would love to see actually 2 knights versus 2 bishops. I would take bishop d5, and queen f4. What do you think?
Oh, I would love to see that battle one more time. We are facing this thematic tournament today. I'm rooting for the knights in this position because that e5 knight is just beautiful. But I agree that the bishops can be very dangerous too, except for the fact that the king is more vulnerable for black.
No, she took the bishop.
Oh, let me catch up. She took on c6. This is a move I wasn't that much of a fan of, but knight a4 I do like. So if you can stop c5, then it makes sense. You have an outpost now on c5.
Right, but can now black create some sort of play on g file? Can I play something like for example, king h8, rook g8, then queen f6, bishop h6, knight f4. I don't know. I think I can give up this queen side and try to focus on the king side.
It goes to show who is Miss Tactics here. I would have said, oh, I don't like that there's this square and my pawn is weak. So because sees the g file and wants to give mate.
Yeah, I always want to give mate, but unfortunately I'm not often allowed to.
We shall see if Katya will go for it, because she clearly cannot allow white to just comfortably put pressure on the c6 isolated pawn and win the game in a better endgame.
Right. I think that in this opposite colored bishop, I like more the black bishop. And I think of attack because my teacher was always telling me, be careful, because opposite colored bishop end games or middle games are never that draw. It's very dangerous when one has attack, because there is no opponent bishop to defend the squares. So I think that black's attack, if she decides to use the g file, can be very powerful.
Let's see if that's going to happen. Now there's a trade on b6. I'm curious how the game will unfold. It's opposite colored bishops now, which makes an endgame more likely to be drawish. But if there's attack, actually opposite colored bishops can be very useful. As thinking of, for instance, if white gets an attack on light squares, black cannot face that attack with her bishop. And it's the same for black. If you manage to attack on dark squares, white's bishop can never do anything about those squares.
Right, and I think now white's hope is to get pressure on the c pawn, so that she takes, this trade I meant, rook c6 and queen d4. But I still like black's position because, first of all, you cannot touch my king. No way. Second of all, the pawns are weak, so now white has a bit of trouble to defend the b2 pawn, and I think black's pieces are more active. Also, I like sometimes the idea of f4, f3 inclusion. I don't know, but I want to have something going on king side. I'm obsessed.
Attack.
Yeah, I'm really obsessed with it. But we have to admit that the bishop on b3 is not a great piece.
It isn't. It's just biting this wall that is the f7 and e6 pawns, and it will take a couple of moves to activate it, even if you will take the time to maneuver somewhere. Where do you want this bishop? I would be more comfortable if it's protecting the king with the bishop on f3, but still it wouldn't be such an amazing piece.
Right. b4, I'm not a big fan of b4 because pawn on b5 was restricting this bishop to be active with bishop a4 or bishop c4, and now she gave up the c4 square. I don't think it was needed.
I agree with you that giving up the light squares, the control of the light squares, is now making white's position easier. Having said that, this can still go either way. It's 1 minute left for Elina, 1 minute and 19 seconds. She's been mainly under time pressure in most games, but then at the very end, when she has 20 seconds left, she speeds up and she makes the most precise moves even in difficult positions. So maybe it's okay that she gets into time trouble because she's used to it.
Yeah, Elina's fans, don't worry, everything is under control. She has it all under control. And queen c1, I like this move because she maybe wants to triple on a c file.
Yes, that could be an idea. And with this, the time is up for the 5+1 portion. This is the last game with 5 minute plus 1 second increment. After this game, there will be a short break for the players, and we'll be back with the 3+1 portion.
Yeah, which will be even quicker.
Send those clips, by the way. Good mention by Sophia. Shout out to everyone watching on Chess TV and Twitch. Welcome everybody to the first ever Women's Speed Chess Championship. We are looking forward to seeing your clips. We are going to have a look at all the clips that you guys create and choose the best moment of the match before the bullet portion. So you still have about an hour.
Right, and I think for that, either we have to do something crazy or
I think the play over the board, having seen those beautiful tactical motifs, have been so thrilling that we can't just do better than that. I cannot think of something more thrilling than, for instance, those tactical motifs, the fourth rank attack, and then this rook b1. That was one of my favorite moments. We can't go back in time, so you should look for new tactical motifs, new exciting moments. And yes, maybe a dab by Sopiko that could overdo the whole thing.
Oh my goodness. No, I'm not entering that.
We'll wait for that dab. You need to teach me how to dab. I still don't know. Now with the heavy pieces on the d5, all the black pieces on the d5, bishop a4 was needed to chase away the rook. Now rook a7, or where else would you go with the rook?
Yeah, I think rook a7, or you can keep the rook on d-file with giving first the check, queen d5, king h2, and then probably rook d6. Though I'm not sure about it because d-file is anyway under black's control. And yeah, but
a check to give space to the rook on d6, that makes a lot of sense.
By the way, b4 pawn was not hanging?
Yeah, I like free stars. Why is no one capturing free stars in this match? What's wrong with that?
But you like free chocolates
as well. Bishop c6 is of course an active move, but that does allow queen a5, protecting the pawn on b4. Queen a4, trade of queens. The pawn is still hanging, but rook d2, activating the rook. This is looking toward more of a draw now.
Yeah, though I must say that it was pretty easy escape for Elina. I thought that with some sort of attack, if black tried something on the king side, it would be way more difficult to face.
I fully agree. We thought that the position was difficult for white with this passive bishop on b3. b4 was a move that could have led to this comfortable way of equalizing, if we can call this comfortable. Certainly it helped white's case to have the c4 square under her control.
Right, but this is going to be easy draw because even if white loses the a pawn, there is nothing much going on. It will be extra pawn, but it will be double extra pawn on that file. And yeah, this is the position where opposite colored bishop is really draw.
Yeah, that could have been a tactical motive. Rook takes g3 to pick up the rook. Yeah. But even by winning that one pawn, you don't really have winning chances. And the a-pass pawn will actually be helping white to try to do something. So black did not go for it. Rook d3, bishop c4, rook takes a3, rook a2. This is a drawish position. Only a mouse slip could make this be a decisive game.
Or flagging.
Actually, yeah, plenty of chances. 4 seconds left for Elina, 9 seconds for Katya. Anything can happen. The position is a draw in normal circumstances, but who knows? Online blitz anything can happen in online blitz.
It is true, yeah. And you don't have some sort of pre-moves to make, like rook a2, rook a5, you could make forever.
1 second, geez. Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting you because I was like, she's flagging too.
Oh my God, that's crazy. But she's using these motives of bishop h5, bishop g6. That's a very nice thing to do.
Trade on f4, still only just a few seconds. Well, it's going to be a few seconds for the rest of the game because it's only a 1 second increment. That's nothing. Both players are under serious time pressure. Now check on the 4th rank, back to a4.
Take, rook e4, king f6, h5 probably. And yeah, this is easy draw, but when you have 3 seconds on the clock, I think.
Oh, she gives up the rook on e3 for the pawn.
But is it? What's it?
Yeah, her idea is that the pawn and game will be a draw, so black cannot go for sacrificing the rook for the pawn and the bishop because that's still just a draw on pawn and game.
Right, I'm just afraid some sort of mating thing.
Yeah, that's what black is trying. So Katya is trying her best. She has now managed to force the white king onto the back rank. She's cutting it over the 2nd rank, and if there can be a possibility of threatening mate on the back rank. Yes, now!
Rookie won!
The bishop is back, but it is winning. She just needs to move the rook, and next move rook takes f1. It's over. Wow.
great skills by Kateryna Lagno, but somehow I think it was not needed to give up the exchange.
Yes, I also thought it wasn't needed. And then you were right that the game, oh, they're starting a new game, but this will not count. They didn't realize that the first segment is over. So we are going on a short break and then we are back with 3+1 segments.
Chess.com is about playing. At any moment, there are thousands of people from around the world playing on Chess.com. So whether you're a total beginner or a grandmaster, you'll find a game quickly with someone at your level. You can play at any pace, from 1-minute bullet to 5-minute blitz to 60-minute games. Or you can play more relaxed games where you have several days to make your move. There are tournaments starting every few minutes, or you can play against our customizable coaching computer. Chess.com is for learning. Chess isn't just about playing, it's about getting better. Chess.com puts the best training tools at your fingertips. Sharpen your game with over 50,000 tactics puzzles. Improve your strategy with training videos by top grandmasters. Get instant feedback after your games with real-time computer analysis. Regardless of where you're at now, you can take your game to the next level. Chess.com is for sharing. Join the community where you can discuss chess ideas in the forums and follow the latest chess news. Or join a club with friends and play in a league against other clubs. You can find all this in your browser at home and at work, or on the go with your phone or tablet. Signing up is free and easy. So what are you waiting for? Enjoy your game.
Welcome back, everybody, to the first match of the inaugural Women's Speed Chess Championship. Sofiko and myself have been covering these broadcasts. Today, it is the top-ranked player, Kateryna Lagno, facing our quarterfinal. Quarterfinal? Is that qualifier? I was going to say. Quarterfinal. I'm questioning what I was going to say. Elina Danielian, 6-time Armenian champion, and she fought her way into the 8-player field by winning our qualifier tournament. She's currently leading with 1 point, which is against our predictions, Smarter Chess predictions, saying that it would be a 1-point lead for Katya after the first portion. How do you see the game so far, Sofiko? And are you surprised that Elina is leading the match?
Well, I'm not very much surprised because I know how strong Elina is since she's playing a lot of online chess and a lot of blitz games, and she really enjoys it. But she's facing the world blitz champion, world rapid champion, and it's really, really great results. She shows so far great, amazing skills of defending, playing fast, playing under time pressure. But we've seen some of the great games and maneuvers from Kateryna as well so far. Players really did not let me down. So I think we've seen a lot of exciting chess, fighting chess. And I think we will have much more excitement in the coming segment because there will be less time. And I'm really looking forward for the bullets.
Indeed, it's 3+1, the next portion. The game is about to start. And just a quick reminder that we are looking for your clips. Please clip your favorite moments of today's broadcast, and we will select one of them as the favorite moment of the day. That will be before the bullet portion. So you still have an hour to clip your very favorite moment in this match between Katya and Elina. Katya now with the white pieces, and we see one more time a French Tarrasch.
Yeah, we have French defense on the board. I should really be quiet and let you let you say what's going on, because French is yours.
I love the French defense. Everybody knows whether it's good or bad. It's my opening. I really enjoy it. Although I don't like isolated pawn positions much personally. Of course, this is something that, objectively speaking, I know the pros and cons, but me personally, I don't like to have isolated pawn. I would much rather play against the isolated pawn. So that's what is going on here. Black accepts the structural weakness on d5 in order to have active pieces such as the e4 knight, and now aiming to head over to the b8 h2 diagonal with her bishop.
Right. Though I'm a bit surprised that Elina is always showing some new strategies and new plans, and she never repeats anything in a row. Usually, strategy for blitz games, what I've heard is that if you feel comfortable with one opening and it went very well, then you want to repeat it because you want your opponent not to prepare against you and have no time to prepare, and show you what is the way to defeat it. But she never repeats anything in a row, and she always plays some new things.
That's true. She has played the Caro-Kann various times, but always a different line. And now it's another French defense, but always changing exactly which variation of the terror she's going for. After b5, I really like the initiative Black is creating on the queen side, this trade, now with the queen attacking both the b3 knight and the b2 pawn.
Right, and I think now knight bd4 is the only move. Can it be? Sorry, fd4.
Yes, because if you move the b3 knight, that gives up the b2 pawn, and with that, the c3 pawn. So it's not only the b2 pawn, but the whole queen side. That's why Sopiko is saying that you need to go back to d4 with the f5 knight, which is less active, but at least it does not allow the capture of the pawn.
Yeah, it does not, and it does not lose the pawn. But after queen b7, there is a lot of pressure. Queen d7. Oh, that's an interesting way. I thought that queen b7 was way more active to keep the queen on the b file and have this pressure, thinking of a4 as well. But Elina decides that queen is better on d7, and maybe she wants to play rook b8.
I think that's her idea. Interesting to see one more time this minority attack, where the point is that the b2 pawn here is the target, even though it is white who would normally should be okay. Not exactly minority because there's this d5 pawn, but what I mean is that you see only one a pawn. There's no b or c pawns for black, and it's black who is attacking with that one single pawn.
Yeah, and I love the a3 idea, because now after a3 there is no pawn chain anymore on b2 and c3, and after knight c3, knight e4, this pawn would be great in the end game, where there are no queens and no pieces, because it would be a passer. But now I think it's a weakness, as black can block it with rook a4, bishop b6, and rook a8.
I like that plan, doubling rooks on the a file. It almost feels like many of the gambits where you sacrifice a queenside pawn as black, but here this is equal material. You have this a file and the queenside wide open for black's pieces without having to give up a pawn for it.
Right, and rook a4 is on the board. Now it is a bit difficult for white to come up with some plan, because black has very clear plan what she wants to do. She wants to put double the rooks on a file and put pressure on a3 pawn.
And now the queen comes as well. It was interesting. She played queen e6 and now queen a6, but it does create what Sopiko was describing. All she would need to do is bring the rook as well. The question is, will she get into any trouble on the king side while this queen side attack is happening?
Yeah, I'm not very much afraid, because the knight on e4 and f6, they are so great defending the very important g3 and g4 squares that queen cannot enter the g file. So any kind of sacrifice on h6 with knight h6 or bishop h6 should not really work, because all squares around the king, h5, g4, and g3, they are protected.
That's a good point. And now with rook c4, black is aiming to trade pieces. In an endgame, of course, it would be very nice for black that this a3 pawn is a clear target, and it's more difficult to protect the a3 pawn on the long run than having this d5 pawn if it's only that you're protecting it with the knight and no minor piece can attack it by white.
Right. And I like how white is defending, sort of defending, if I can say so, because I think that black has a bit of pressure on a file, but she is very strong in the center with rook d3, rook d1, and the knight on d4 is also a very good piece.
Mm-hmm. I like this knight a lot, and it's thematic in isolated pawn positions that you want to use this square right under the isolated pawn for a knight. That's a beautiful outpost for a knight.
Yeah. And would you play rather with white or black?
Ooh, good question. I told you that I normally don't like to have isolated pawn, but here black is very active. And now if you can take the knight and get away with that extra pawn, free stuff is free stuff.
Yeah, it is. Bishop d4. And now what white is trying to do is trade maybe... Oh my god, 97!
She stepped into the fork! No!
Oh my god.
I wasn't even looking. I was trying to catch up with the chat, and then...
Oh my god. What happened? That was a blunder. That was a full queen.
The biggest blunder of the day so far.
Oh,
This
and
is
we
a very
could
painful
see,
moment for Elina.
yeah, we could see Elina. She's really like, what happened? But I love her reactions. She's not going mad or something. She's like, oh my god.
And that ties the score. So, from a very complex position where anything could have happened, it was a one move blunder that decided the game. And now it's a tie between Katya and Elina.
Yeah, and it was an extra pawn for Elina, so it's even more pity for her such blunder. But it happens, and that's why we have a lot of games. She has much more chances to come back, and for us spectators, it's a great thing because now we have equal score, and we can feel the tension.
Definitely, and make sure to clip your favorite moments because we will look for the best clip of the day that will show which was the most crucial, the most interesting, or maybe the funniest, most thrilling, whatever you want to choose as your favorite moment. Make sure to clip it, and we are going to have a look at all the clips created throughout this broadcast. Not us with Sopico because we are a little busy commentating, but we have a great chess.com stuff that will take care of the clips, and we will show our choice, their choice, after the 3+1 portion.
Ooh, we'll definitely do that. But till that, we have to think what's going on in this game. Can I take bishop c3 and double the pawns and then put pressure? Bishop f5, queen f5?
Yeah, if queen takes f5, she wants to take on c3.
But I have queen e4 check and knight d4. Oh, is that a blunder? Huh?
You have a different position on the board. I don't have queen e4 check, I think.
I thought after ed.
Okay, you want to take on d4.
Yeah, I thought after ed and queen e4 check would be there, but bishop c3 already played.
Yes, so queen takes f5, bishop takes c3, yeah. And if white takes back, now the rook will drop. The white king cannot go to the second rank to defend the a1 rook.
Yeah, but this position looks pretty bad for black, doesn't it? I don't think bishop f5 was a correct way to trade pieces because it activated white's queen, and now it is big danger for black king.
It is true that white had to go king f1, which normally you would think, oh, black has achieved something. But in this position, the black king is more vulnerable than the white king. The white king on f1 is pretty comfortable, I would say, defending the g2 pawn, stepped out of the check. And what can you do with the e8 king? You can't castle. The e file is about to open up. This is looking troublesome.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I bring my rook to e1, how black defends. Queen d8 maybe.
Yeah. Bishop c4 threatening the f7 pawn immediately.
Yeah, queen c7 I think now.
Yeah, there was no time for bishop takes a1 because of queen f7 or bishop f7 and mate in a few moves. Queen c7 to protect f7.
And now rook e1. I like rook e1 because I need to do something to create attack.
And it's on the board. This looks like the position of black is about to collapse. How do you prevent the opening of the e file and disaster against the king?
I think it was misevaluation of the outcome, or maybe she missed something.
Well, now they have 7 pawn 2. This is game over.
Oh my god, bishop f7, knight e7, bishop f7, and bishop g8. It's just over.
It's game over. Elina is calculating. Yeah. She takes with the queen because both bishop and queen takes f7 were very tempting.
Yeah, and now knight e5. Anything actually. Rook e5, d takes e5, knight e5, anything works.
To open the d file. Well, she could have taken with the bishop to capture the rook, but instead she decides that she doesn't need the rook. She just wants to give mate. And now the position with the d file open as well is looking terrible for black. Yeah. Still not completely over.
Yeah, but I think it's just 5 moves away.
Quite possibly, though, because now that the knight comes in, h4 was a very smart move to prepare for knight g5. Knight e6 was a fork, the threat of a fork. The knight can come later to e4 as well. So it's an extra pawn.
I would play knight.
How many extra pawns? Wait a second. Sopico, I'm very bad at maths.
Oh, me too.
3 extra pawns. I thought it was 2. 3 extra pawns and attack. The game is completely over unless we're gonna see a mouse slip, a blunder, or someone flagging.
Yeah, that's true. Though what I liked for white after h4 was that rook h3 and rook b3 coming with disastrous attack.
It's still in the air, the rook joining from the 3rd rank, so the position is hopeless for black. But this is a blitz game, and that can still lead to a disaster from white's side.
Yeah, but my prediction for 5 moves was not exactly precise.
Wow, but the opening, that was very strange that Katya went for bishop f5, allowing this. As you said, she misunderstood the danger after this queen takes f5, queen f6, how her position could collapse even though it was white who had to move king f1.
Right, but I have a feeling a bit that somehow white is missing her chances. Usually, what happens in such games is that when you have a lot of material, you think that, oh, it's gonna be okay anytime. When you don't make the strongest moves, you kind of keep giving chances, and that's where your opponent feels really happy and relieved that she wants to resign, but not yet, because where is the clear win if I play this? Where is the clear win if I play this? And I think that's what happens in this game. It was way more winning for white rather than now. Now there is some sort of pressure on white because white needs to develop and get her pieces into game. And okay, if we get end game, there might be opposite colored bishops as well, right?
I fully agree. And now with all the black pieces coming in and no time for
oh my god,
white.
Rook f2. No, what was this?
Rook f2 was there. Oh no, I can't go back because they have no time. 5 seconds left for Elina. 23 for Katya. Rook takes f2 was an option before. Winning the queen, it did not happen. It's still game on with the knight on f3. 1 second for Elina.
Oh my god. Lots of things, lots of blunders going on. This
and
is
she flagged.
Crazy. Okay. Black won. Black won completely. Lost game? Can I say so?
What a game. Yes. This is, I can't believe it. Elina had everything. 3 pawns up, attack, everything she wanted. And then it, as you pointed out, she didn't find the accurate way to convert it into a full point. She just kept on playing not the most precise moves, giving chances to Katya. And in the end, she got flagged.
Yeah, that's something that happens very often and is a very common mistake. And in the new game, actually, we have again Karakan system with knight c3. But what Elina tried recently, instead of bishop g4, she also took d takes e4 in a classical game, which gives white an opportunity to transpose into main lines if she plays d4, c4, and knight f3, knight g3, and so on. And we have now different system on the board. It's not with bishop g4, but the position looks alike, right? We still have 2 bishops for white. And there is again this c6 and e6 pawn structure.
Yes, and I really like this knight h5 move, putting pressure on the g7 pawn, asking black whether she dares to castle kingside to defend the pawn with these bishops and the knight and the queen lurking around the king. Do you think this is something recommendable, castle kingside?
Oh, I don't think so, but I don't know how to defend the g7 pawn, because I think somehow things went very wrong for black. I think knight d5, the last move, is not very precise because it allows knight h5, and now black is forced to castle, which happened on the board. But then I'm so afraid of the attack. I'm really, really afraid. Look at the pieces. Both bishops and the knight and the queen, they are looking at the king. Oh.
This is when Miss Tactics starts to see the end of the variation already. On what square will be the mate? On what square? G7, H8?
I don't know. Either I see ghosts, either I see mate, but I do think that the outcome right now is not where I want to give mate, because where is my knight? What happened?
We need the knight on f6, but it's gone.
What happened? What just happened? I think that White had much more chances to create an attack on the king side, but instead she decided to trade pieces, and now we will have again an endgame.
One more time, a knight versus bishop endgame with rooks on the board. Elina has been doing very well defending these positions, but now she's a point down in the match. For the first time, we see the favorite, Kateryna Lagno, taking the lead. We started with a tie at the very beginning. Well, she took the lead in the first game, but that doesn't really count when you are 1-0 and the next game was 1-1. So basically, for most of the match, it was a tie. And then Elina had even a 2-point lead up until now, when it's finally a lead for the World Blitz champion, Kateryna Lagno. Do you think she will manage to increase this lead, or is this the position where Elina is just very comfortable holding and she may bounce back in the next game?
I don't know what exactly to say, because if I look at the position, I want to say that it will be equal for a very long time and we will have equal score. But I can easily imagine that Katya will keep the lead, and she won't give many chances anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yes, now having the lead, she can play somewhat more solid, even if it's not her style. So I think it will not change much the course of the match, in a sense that we're going to see very exciting games every time. Doesn't matter what color who has, they will both play fighting, dynamic chess. But it's true that now she can be somewhat more on the careful side, and she doesn't need to force things, especially in an equal position.
What I think is very interesting is that I think we can see in this match a bit different style of both players. We can see that Elina is very aggressive and she likes the initiative. And if she has a chance to attack, she's really, really going for it. And I think Katya is playing more classical chess, so she's very good in all fields, as Elina mentioned in her interview, and she's very strong. But I should say, if I have rights to do so, that she did miss a bit of attacking chances in this game, in the previous game, where it was the G file and she could create some attack. But she's playing more in the center.
She's doing so, and now with c4, it was more of a forced line than how White wanted, probably. Sometimes you want to wait with this c4 push, but here, chasing away the knight and going for rook h6, rook h7, this is all forced. The thing is, has White achieved much with this? You have the rook on the 7th rank, and the bishop on e4 is looking good, but still the position is very solid for Black, and she may push b5 on the queen side.
Yeah, I think White is just missing one more rook. If there was one more rook and h-file, that would be great. But only with one rook, it's not possible to do a lot. This sort of play with f4 is possible, but then the g5, which is a bit of a weakness, is gone. And Black can also create her own play. For example, if you put pawn on g5, then Black might think of b5 breakthrough.
For now, the rook is controlling the 5th rank, but as Sopika pointed out, that could be a future idea. She does give up the c6 pawn for free.
Wait, what was that?
I'm not sure that was part of Black's plan, blundering the c6 pawn.
No, that was a pure blunder, I think.
e5, she tries to create counterplay, but this is now going to be very difficult for Black to hold.
I think what is very difficult is it when you're playing a very aggressive attacking chess. In this type of position, you're always searching for counterattack. You're always searching for some chances, and sometimes you need to kind of stand passive and do nothing. And if you do something, you actually harm your position. This is the example of, I think, what I'm saying now, because I think it was needed to not to do much, just stay passive and see what white is doing. But Elina was trying to get some chances and counter attack, and it turned out to be bad.
Certainly, this was the case. Giving up the c6 pawn was a mistake, and now the knight had to make a long way back from AJ. That was a very passive piece. It's finally on e7, but with this very strong pass pawn on c6, this should be a win for white, unless there will be a mouse slip or a blunder, or one more time the flagging skills come in. It was Elina who flagged twice, so Katya so far hasn't lost on time.
Yeah, and it's amazing actually, because Elina is very she plays online chess much more, I guess, than Katya, but Katya is being solid, and she takes care of time, and she has in mind how much time to spend on each move.
Definitely. And those of you wondering about their titles, that's GM. That's the male title, GM. They are not women grandmasters. They are both grandmasters, very strong players, and representing their countries. In this case, Armenia for Elina, and Katya, she was born in the Ukraine, and now she represents Russia. She's the strongest player in Russia and world number 4 in classical chess. So we are having two of the top female players here fighting against each other. This should be a win for white, but with 13 seconds left, this is still some task to do.
Ooh, yeah, it is, because black has always chances to give up the knight for 2 pawns, and then, good luck winning the rook and bishop versus rook.
Oh, now it's winning because of king e8 and discover check, winning the rook. I can just show real quick before the next game starts. King e8, and this picks up the rook with the discover check. A 2-point lead for Katya, coming back from a 2-point disadvantage.
Yeah, that's a big advantage, and it gives confidence as well. And it's not nice for Elina, but she's a fighting player, and I think she will do everything to come back in the match.
Sure, and let's remind everyone about the schedule, because this is just the first match of the Women's Speed Chess Championship, the inaugural season of the Women's Speed Chess Championship here at Chess.com. The winner of this match will face the winner of the Harika Marisa Bag match, Harika Dronavali against Marisa Bag. That's on May the 30th. But the next match will be between Alexandra Kostenyuk, chess queen. Some of you are already subscribers to her channel. If you are not, you should do so. She's going to play against Anna Zatonsky, and that's this Sunday. I will be in the Netherlands sitting next to Sopiko. I can't wait to be there.
Yeah, can't wait to have you here, and can't wait for the match, because I think we are going to see some exciting chess in all matches, because the players who we have, they are all very aggressive.
Definitely. We have an amazing field. 8 of the top female players in the world are competing in the Women's Speed Chess Championship. The $20,000 prize fund overall. In this match, the winner will take $1,000, and the second, so it's a $2,000 prize fund for this round. The second $1,000, am I explaining it well, is divided by percentage. So the match score does matter for how much cash the players will win. And of course, the main prize is to move on to the next stage.
Yeah, it is very good. The prize system, I like it very much, because you're trying to fight in every game. Even if you're losing the match with 5 points or so, you still want to fix the damage.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of this position now with pressure over the d5 pawn after e4?
I like it for white because I think that bishop is better if it has open diagonal, and the knight on g7 is not doing much. It still needs some moves to get into the game. And main thing what I like about it is that white can have d file for free, like rook d1, queen d4, or queen d3, and of course pawn majority on the queen side.
Mm-hmm. Certainly. So this is a good chance for Elina to make a comeback, a better position. Also, she's keeping track of her time, so it's a balanced situation in terms of time management. I like the queen on e5. That's a beautifully placed queen, and maybe free stuff on b8. I don't think Katya will blunder.
No, probably not. Rook c8, I think, will be played. But rook c8, rook d7. Can we see some problems?
Certainly, if the rook arrives in the second rank, or in this case, the seventh rank, that's troublesome for black. That's why she's taking her time. I'm drawing as many arrows as I can. I'm trying to learn from Hikaru. I'm learning from the best. Rook c8, rook d7. Will we see that on the board, ladies and gentlemen?
Well, we have c4. That's interesting. Why she chose it? Because rook d7 looked very very natural. There is
now queen c7.
Yeah.
I agree with you that rook d7 looked more of a forcing line. The c3 pawn is protected, so you don't need to worry about it. Why not place the rook on d7 and prevent queen to c7?
Yeah, now b6, there is no opportunity anymore for rook d7 because black will never go queen b6. And I think it was way worse for black. It's still unpleasant, I think, for black now, this position, but it makes me feel good to see that I had very bad position and now I had just bad position.
That's an improvement. You are right. We should look at the bright side. From a very bad position, suddenly it's just a tiny bit worse. Queen e4, trading queens, because an endgame where a bishop is fighting against a knight here would favor the bishop. There are pawns on both flanks and the knight does not have an outpost.
Right. And after a queen trade, I don't think there is a lot of things to do for white. It's still pleasant because of the bishop and not great placement of knight, but black's position is very solid.
It is solid. It reminds me of the positions that Elina had. I feel like it's Katya with the white pieces against Elina with the black pieces. We have seen this couple of times.
We did, indeed. And now Kateryna is in Elina's shoes. Let's see how she will do.
And if the knight will be better than the bishop or the other way around, once again, the theme of the day, the fight between the minor pieces.
Yes, that was indeed the theme of the day. And it's nice to see that because we had so many games where Kateryna had two bishops and so many thematic maneuvers. It's just great. We are grateful actually that they play such thematic games.
So, Pika, we need to catch up with this. A pawn endgame. So, from a Troic-looking rook endgame, black decided to offer the pawn endgame, but did she miss g5 and now king e5?
King e4. Is it lost? Because after king e4, there is no opposition. I mean, king d6 is possible, but then we have b4. And king e6, we can play c5. And there is a passer on queen side.
Indeed. So, the c pawn will work as a magnet if needed to draw the black king away from the e5 pawn, and after king takes e5, king s6, this should be a winning pawn endgame. Rook d7 was played by Katya, but she may have gotten herself into trouble.
Right. Or it was a mouse sleep and she wanted to play rook e7.
We will never know unless we ask her in the interview, but let's see. Now this c5 push, protected pass pawn for white. If c6, king d6, c7, king takes c7, king takes e5, black still
just
gets
c7 now, yeah.
Yeah, but also the b5 pawn. This is completely winning.
Yeah, it is because white is much faster. Now even f4 is way better not to allow king f6, king d5. And after king f6, king e8, and king g7, or f5. Or king d5, yeah.
She decides to go for the b5 pawn, which makes perfect sense. Black is way slower. You can either take on a4 or simply move the king away and start pushing the b pawn. This is a comeback from Elina after having had a really rough moment in the match where she first went down 1 point and then a second point by being quite unlucky with her time management.
Yeah, great game, great technique. King e5, king c5 is important not to allow b6, king d6, b7, king c7. Black king is in time, and Elina won. So now Kateryna has 1 point lead, right?
Indeed, it's a 1 point lead for our top-ranked player of the field, current Blitz champion and almost Women's World Champion. She was this close to winning the Women's World Championship, the classical Women's World Championship in November. And Elina Danielian, she qualified to the field, the 8-player field, by winning the qualifier. I did manage to say qualifier finally. It's a difficult word for me. So I don't know why.
Yeah, we need to practice in that. And actually, miracle happened because Elina, she repeated the same line in a row.
Wow. For the first time, she's repeating her openings. And this is a theoretical line of the Caro-Kann, putting pressure on the f7 pawn, and now queen f3.
I don't like what happened. I don't like what happened. I don't know what is the preparation, but I think it looks very bad for black.
I was going to say that this is normally a theoretical line where black is okay, but here the bishop on h7, that's not okay.
No, and I can let you talk about it forever. Oh my God.
Topico, it's a piece. It's a piece.
Oops.
From having a very passive bishop, winning a piece in one.
Oh my God. D3, what a terrible blunder. Oh my God.
That's it. It's a piece.
Oh my God. And yeah, we were saying that the piece on h7 is not a piece, but if it's extra, we accept it, right?
Yeah, then we sign the contract. Bishop d2, queen takes e5. Katya blundered queen e5. That was such a beautiful position for white, except for the fact that she stepped into the one and only threat that black could create in the position.
Oh my God, yeah. If it was her move, now bishop c3 would win the piece back, but unfortunately it is black's move. Unfortunately for white, it is black's move, and it is just an extra piece. Oh my God, what a disaster.
It is. Now knight d7 can protect the knight, but wait a second, it's not that simple, because after bishop c3, the black queen cannot keep the protection of the f6 knight, so she takes on b2. That's smart, because that will prevent bishop c3.
Yeah, queen b2, queen d1, and now rook b1 is in the air, but we can even go queen e5 back. There is no bishop c3, and after bishop g7, it's just an extra piece.
Yeah, what a blunder by Katya in a position that was clearly better for white. Now we know what's the point of this line for black. Maybe it's actually very theoretical in the end. No, it was just bad. It was bad. Without d3, white's position was clearly better.
Right, but we never know what kind of blunders are waiting for us. So we cannot say anything, but it looks very bad for white. I actually have to mention that we are very lucky to see their faces, and we are very lucky to follow the camps so we can see the emotions. I think Elina is very expressive. When she blunders or once she got flagged, she expresses the emotions, but Kateryna has poker face?
Complete poker face. Yes, she has the same facial expression whether she's lost or she has just won from a comeback. She has the same facial expression. It's interesting, the difference between these two players. And if we think of online chess, it's not the same as over-the-board tournaments, because at a classical tournament, you try to hide your emotions. But when you play online, you don't have to, because your opponent is not looking at you.
Yeah, you can throw stuff to your computer, for example.
Definitely. Great tips. Great tips there. But what we are pointing out is that, yes, we have cameras on the players, but they are not looking at each other. So you could actually express your emotions. Simply Katya, I think she has poker face all the time whenever she competes. So we will not see much of emotions unless it's the end of the match and we can congratulate her for advancing onto the next stage.
You're completely right. And yeah,
what's going on now with the open h5 though? So from a piece down, Katya's creating some chances.
What wasn't it piece for?
Once again?
Wait, it was piece, right? It's still piece, but I don't know what's going on, because after bishop f4, queen e7, there is knight e4, and now d takes c4, c5 is a threat. I don't know. I like it for white suddenly.
Yes, finally there's some really good chance for counterplay from a piece down. We thought that she had to resign in that position after queen a5, and she opened up the h5, so the last couple of moves, pushing the h pawn, giving up the h6 pawn and then allowing h5, h takes g6, this made the position of black
But we can take now bishop d7, rook d7, rook d7, queen d7, queen a8 is hanging. So there is no
losing the piece. She has blundered the piece back. Was there a defense though? She must have moved the other rook.
Oh my god.
She should have moved the a8 rook so that it's not in the air, but Sopika is saying that after bishop takes d7, black cannot take back because the rook on a8 will drop in the end. Oh no.
Oh my god. So you see, that was a deep preparation and deep outcome of the theory.
Piece sacrifice, first looking weird on h7 with this bishop and now winning the piece back. It's all preparation, of course.
Oh my god, what's going on? What is this? I think rook h6 I liked more than bishop e3 because I don't like that king is covering the h file.
Mm-hmm.
So I would play rook h6 and then rook g6, f takes g6, and some ideas with bishop e6 or bishop e6 instead of rook g6. I think rook h6 would be very powerful.
I agree with you. And now looking at this new position where it's equal material suddenly from a piece down to equal material, not even a single pawn is up or down for anyone. So now 18 seconds left for Elina, 32 for Katya. I don't know what result to predict because this game has been a roller coaster.
Yeah, and I love the fact that Katya never gives up so easily. I think most of us, after d3, queen a5, with a cold shower, we would just resign, right? Because queen a5, queen e5, what I'm gonna do? Queen b2 is also there. It was awful. But this game shows that don't resign, keep the spirit.
Yeah, and it's still not over. Now black is creating some attacking chances because of queen h2, but luckily for white, the h1 square is covered, so there's no queen h1 as a follow-up.
Yeah, but after queen h4, we can... knight h2 is also sort of...
Yeah, this is not clear at all, and it's gonna go for an endgame, minor piece endgame one more time. 6 seconds left for Elina, 16 for Katya.
Yeah, and this is 3+1, right? This is not bullet yet. Can you imagine what's gonna happen in bullet?
Well, Elina said in the pre-match interviews that she doesn't consider bullet a form of chess. It's more about who's going to move the mouse faster.
Yeah, but she said it's really fun to play. So.
Of course, yeah, it's fun, but she said it's not real chess.
Yeah.
A bishop endgame where black is trying because of the more active king. She still has some chances, but wow, having had a piece up after 7-8 moves in the opening, and now it's a bishop endgame with equal pawns.
Yeah, it is tough. It is tough to play, but bishop c2 and king b4, bishop a4 is somehow a plan.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Though, if we go into pawn endgame, no, we don't have any chance because king f5, just king b4, and a pawn is much faster. And
the e4 promotes and then then e4 check. Yeah. Wow, what a game! And now she gives up the queen because the f pawn promotes. This is a win for Elina Danielian. An amazing comeback, and we would have said that she was gonna win the game after winning the piece, but no, it went completely different. The whole story.
Yeah, it was indeed a roller coaster, and we see again Trompowsky on the board with e3, and it seems that both players like to play this position with their sides because Elina is not changing and she does not deviate. She takes on f6. Probably that's what she prepared for this match because she generally is not using Trompowsky as her main weapon, but we've seen a lot of games with this line. And I like her strategy actually very much because first she started with d4 in normal lines, then she started with knight f3, g3, and then she showed what she really prepared.
You think that we will see more of this opening in the coming games as well?
I don't know. I think she has something else for bullet.
Oh, a full preparation for every format, a different set of openings. But it's true that depending on what the time control is, you may want to switch to more of a tricky variation, especially in bullet, if the position is not the objectively best, but you have tactical possibilities, that could be a good choice for Bullet.
Yeah, but in Bullet, you should be, I think what's important is you should be able to pre-move, but pre-move so that you don't blunder mate.
Indeed, pre-movable openings are definitely going to be the main repertoire. We shall see, but there's still 18 minutes left from this time control and 18 minutes left for you to bring on your A game in terms of clipping. So make sure that whenever you see something that you like about the broadcast, about the match, favorite moment of the games, clip that moment and we are going to have a look at it. Not Sopiko and me because we are commentating, but we have a great team behind the scenes. They will have a look at the clips and we will show you one of them as moment of the day right after this segment is over.
Right. And what do you think? What was the blunder of the match so far?
Oh, the queen, definitely.
The queen. Yeah, 97.
697 fork.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, what was this? Knight of 5 just for free?
Oh, wait a second. I missed that move. Yes, that was a free stuff. Queen e7 stepping into the pin. Oh, no. And then even the bishop is dropping. No.
Yeah. Elina is playing really strong, creating some possible tactics. And yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy to defend all these tiny tactics. And now Elina is having a pawn. How is actually the match situation? Is it equal?
It's a tie. So once again, Elina, if she wins this game, she will take the lead one more time. This is incredible, guys. We started with 1-0 for Kateryna Lagno, the favorite of the match. And then Elina, from then on, she tied the score. She went on to have a 2-point lead. Then she went down in the match and now she's back in the game. Whoa, this is what we have wanted to see. Spectacular chess. Every game is so exciting.
It is, and it's full of excitement, and we still have a lot of time to enjoy it more because in Bullet, much more things gonna happen.
I know, 16 minutes left from the 3+1 portion, and then we will head on to 1+1, the Bullet segment. And after the Bullet, when the match is over, we will have an interview with the players. So make sure to stay here to listen to these two amazing players, two of the top female players in the world, with Katya being the current Blitz champion, women's Blitz champion, almost women's classical champion in the world. And Elina is a 6-time Armenian champion, represented her country 13 times. That is 26 years. 26 years at the Chess Olympiads.
Yeah, they are both great players. They were both child prodigies. Kateryna won European Individual Women's Championship at age of 15. She became men's grandmaster at age of 18. That's very, very impressive. And Elina also won a lot of youth world championships, European, many open tournaments. She competed versus men. She's very strong. We see it now how fighting chess they both play because it doesn't matter who blunders what. They keep the spirit, they keep fighting, and then what's going on? Even we're completely shocked.
I agree with you. It's been a really thrilling match, and we have seen so many surprises. Luckily, this time control does allow a lot of blunders in general. It's more likely that the players blunder when there's no time on the clock. Now, this rook endgame, how do you see the chances here when White still is a pawn up? I was going to say it in past tense because she's about to lose the c3 pawn. She can take on e6 now. No?
Yeah, I think after f takes e6, White has good chances to win the game. Though I thought that king f4, king f5 would be powerful, but maybe I'm wrong because rook c1 maybe is better than king f4, king f5. But if White manages to keep both pawns, then is completely winning. Though after rook e6, probably what Kateryna did not like is that we play king f4, and then after rook e1 check, rook e3, king f5, it's not easy to defend this position.
Therefore, she keeps the second rook also on the board. But as Sopiko mentioned, now it's 2 pawns up for White, looking great for Elina, turning the tables and making a comeback in this match to once again take the lead.
Yeah, and king f5, king g6 is a very big threat. I don't know how to defend it. Now it's only way to take it. And after, oh, c4, that's very interesting to get rid of the weakness. I thought more that rook e1, rook e3, king f5, but this is way better because we get rid of the weakness and we have extra pawn, and there are always checks so that we can kick the king out from e6 and have king f5.
And that's exactly what's happening on the board. With the black rook putting pressure on the d4 pawn, that's making the white king's activity less easy. You can't just go king f5 because of the fall of the d4 pawn. But 6 seconds left for Katya, 59 for Elina. For the first time, Elina is up on time.
Yeah, she is up on time, and Katya doesn't have very good position. I think it's nearly lost because of the d file, and king is very active. So after king d5, king d6, d5, it would be very difficult.
I like king d5. That's the way to go, activating the king and supporting the d pass pawn. So she does give up the g4 pawn, but she is preparing for d5 and king takes f6. 1 second left. She's gonna flag. Oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah. King f6 is a very nice, but rook a8, mate. Ooh.
Yeah, it's mate on the board, and she made that last move with 0.3 seconds on the clock, so it was going downhill anyway. 1 point lead for Elina Danielian one more time in this match.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's going so it changes so fast. Sometimes we have Kateryna as a leader, sometimes Elina, and way more exciting games than the result.
I know, this is a spectacular match. Let us know, guys, in the chat, both on Chess TV and on Twitch, which were your favorite moments. And if you clipped it, make sure to share it, because we are looking for the best clips of the day. Now, this is one more time a Tarrasch variation of the French defense. I'm at home. Oh no, isolated pawn, no, but I'm at home anyway.
Yeah, you love French. I'm more for neither, but Elina seems to agree with you that French is great opening.
Yeah, she's been sticking to the French defense and the Caro-Kann. Basically, the Caro-Kann and the French are brothers. I feel like very similar structure and strategies. Now, with this isolated pawn, what black should do is one more time create initiative, make her pieces as active as possible to compensate for the structural weakness. That could be done by bringing the knights, making sure that you use these central squares for your pieces, especially knights.
Yeah, I agree with you totally. And we see on the board now knight e5. What I dislike a bit for white is that we have these two bishops, but the both bishops are not active. So black has more active pieces. And now, as we see after knight e5, knight d3, c d3, there is no more two bishop. There is no more weakness of isolated pawn because the pawn is on d3. And I really like it for black.
This is definitely a welcoming change, as Sopico mentioned, getting rid of the pair of bishops and the structural weakness at the same time. Now it is white who has a worse pawn structure because the d3 pawn is isolated, as well as the b2 and b3 pawns, which are doubled at the same time. I'm liking black's chances here.
Yeah, me too. And B pawns, as you mentioned, they are not great. Only thing that I like for white is the knight on d4. It keeps the position together. But I'm a bit afraid that after queen b8, which is, I think, very strong maneuver and trade would be good for black because you won't be afraid anymore of knight jumps, let's say knight f5 or bishop h6. Then black can just enjoy the open files. Maybe knight g4 at some point can be a threat. And it's important to activate rooks and give them open files.
Definitely. That's what I think will happen too. After queen b8, though, what do you think shall white do? Queen f3 to keep the queens on the board makes perfect sense because the queen on b8 is blocking the a8 rook, so it's going to take some time for black to activate her pieces.
Right, but now after queen f3, queen e5, where does the knight go?
Good question. Good question, Sopico. You're always right that there are problems. There are problems because, yes, the f5 square is nice, but the b2 pawn, I'm looking at that free stuff. Is that
right?
Is that free? Not, maybe not that free. I don't know. Queen takes b2. I'm looking at tactical motifs with knight h6 check, for instance, or bringing the queen to the g5. That may be more annoying.
Yeah, I'm also a bit afraid after queen b2, maybe queen f4, and the idea is knight g7 and queen g5. Queen g3 is also very much possible, but queen f4 I think would keep the pressure on f file, so it wouldn't be easy for black to defend it.
She went for queen g3 and after g6 d4 to close the diagonal of the queen and threaten check, for instance, and then putting pressure on the f6 knight. Rook e6, protecting the knight and making sure that she can bring her rook in. I'm getting better at drawing arrows. I hope that Hikaru would like it. That's my only aim, to get as good as Hikaru at drawing arrows, because my chess analysis will never be on his level. But this position is still dangerous.
Yeah, it is. I agree with you. Black has an extra pawn, but the king is weak. And if white manages to somehow get to 7th rank, then knight h6, f7 pawn is weak. White would not regret that white gave the b2 pawn and has open f file.
Yes, I'm curious how Elina will deal with this. She's also running a little low on time. Rook f8 to protect the f5 by rook c7. White's pieces are so active. I would be very worried here as black.
Yeah, queen b3, probably she has to take it now because it also defends the b7 pawn. And after queen b3, it's not exactly clear what white wants to play. Does she want to get into the direct attack with knight h6? But then what are we going to do? Or queen g5 maybe also a possible... Oh my god, what is this?
Knight rook trade of rooks, because after rook takes e7, knight takes, she's aiming for king g7, queen e5 to win the knight on f6.
Right, but if I don't take it, because I thought that this rook was very active on c file, and I thought that it's not good to trade it, but maybe Kateryna is right, because this rook on e6 is defender.
14 seconds left for Elina.
Oh my God.
I'm getting nervous here because this is a tough position to defend, even though she's 2 pawns up at this stage of the game, but there's lots of pressure on the king side.
Ooh, it's a big pressure. Although what I dislike is that knight e4 is sometimes possible for black, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
not right now.
That in the chat as well. I see now the captain of the Armenia Eagle. Shout out to Artak Manukyan. And thank you, Artak, one more time for all the chocolate and mugs and souvenirs we got from Armenia. An amazing team that unfortunately couldn't defend their title in the PCA, but they fought very hard and they will be back for the next season of the Pro Chess League. I think Artak is rooting for Elina. I'm guessing. That's a brave guess from my side, but it's a draw. Repetition. Knight h6, knight f5.
Repetition. I think that was very welcome from white's side because it was still 2 pawns and there was no clear attack.
Yeah, at the same time, I would have been scared too from black's perspective. So it was a good draw for both.
Oh, look at this. F4. I love it.
Bird. The bird is the word, according to Magnus Carlsen. F4, D5.
Yeah, f4, d5, and e3, we have the, I would call it the Dutch reversed.
Yeah, it is basically a Dutch reversed.
But there are different plans connected with b3, bishop b2, and playing on e5 square, or what Elina is playing with queen e1, and then queen h4, h3, g4, and black usually tries to play in the center, not to allow the free attack on the king side, and that's what we see already. d4, I like it for black. Because after e takes d4, c takes d4, then c file is open, and if black bishop comes out, rook c8, c2 pawn will be weak, knight b4 is also in the air, and I think after knight e4, knight d5, e3 square is also very important.
I fully agree with you. Black is taking the initiative here thanks to the semi-open c file, knight d5, knight b4. Those are ideas to come. I'm thinking whether this was an inaccuracy in Elina's play earlier that we landed in this position. Of course, this is still not big trouble, but it's looking good for black.
Yeah, it does. Maybe knight c3, bless you.
Allergy time for Anna.
Maybe knight c3 was not completely precise move because it allowed d4, and now black's play is way more clear what she wants to do to play on the. It's very nice to see how she manages to create attack on everywhere, like knight b4, it attacks the c2 pawn. Mm-hmm. Then I think bishop e6, rook c8, or knight f d5, or knight b d5, knight g4 might also be an idea. I like it for black.
I also like black's chances, and there isn't really much that white can do about all this. Knight takes e4. Interesting. I thought she wasn't going to trade.
Yeah, I also thought same, knight e4, d takes e4, I guess. But she should have something planned, because after if you just develop, why did she take it?
Oh, she took and then played bishop to e6. Shout out to Grandmaster Robert Hess, who is just joining us in the chat. He's saying that, yeah, this was a questionable choice by white. You look at which pawns are on the newly opened files, asymmetric pawn structure, and this c2 pawn is easy to attack, e7 is hard to attack. White prays for an attack, not getting it. That was a very good summary. Thank you, Robert. Shout out to our very own Bobby.
Hi there. Hi, Bobby. How's it going?
Actually, he loves it. He loves when we call him Bobby.
Does he still have beard?
Oh, I hope so. Look at those emotes. Get out your Robert Hess emotes. I like the one with the beard, and this is the OMG. Is it? How do we? Yeah, Hellsgam. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So bishop e2. What do you think, Anna? After bishop e2, can we have some kind of attack still with f5?
It looks like that's what white should aim for. I'm still puzzled by the trade on e4. I felt like that was not needed for black's position, because that also has now created this d3 square. That wasn't the free square earlier, and the bishop, even though it's passive for now, it's protecting c2, and maybe in the future it could be looking at the king side.
Yeah.
e5, f5.
I'm more into direct attack always when I see some kind of sacrifices or opening the file. I'm just like, go for it. But no, Elina does not believe. Elina thinks that first it's better to take all pieces into the center. That's what my husband tells me all the time.
Oh,
first,
are you referring to the world number 4, Grandmaster Anish Giri?
Yeah.
By the way, there's a really nice article, a new interview with Anish on Chess.com. So if you guys haven't read it, make sure to check it out, because Anish will be one of the participants of the Speed Chess Championship, the overall Speed Chess Championship, and the winner of the Women's Speed Championship will be one of the participants qualifying to that amazing field where Anish will be one of the top-ranked players.
Yeah, that's gonna happen pretty soon. Or actually not so soon, but he will participate. He already participated, and it was very, very exciting, his match against Wesley. So I think he really enjoyed it. And okay, what can I say? I wish him good luck.
I hope that you're looking at the chat now, Sopiko, because now there are a couple of requests to Anish to start streaming. I'm on it, guys. First Sopiko and then Anish. The whole family will fall one by one.
I think what will happen is that our kid Daniel will start streaming.
He's a gamer. I knew it when he was born that he's a gamer.
Yeah, he will be like, Mom, Dad, you're no good at this. Just let me.
Slide over because I need to be on camera.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to see baby tactics. This Sunday, I'll be in the Netherlands with Sopiko. We're going to be covering the next match. That's between Kostenyuk, Alexandra Kostenyuk, chess queen, facing Anna Zatonsky. Another thrilling match. But first, this is a 1-point lead for the underdog, Elina Danielian, against the top-ranked player of the field, Kateryna Lagno. Can she make a comeback? Can Kateryna win this match?
I think Elina is doing very good in this game as well. It looks just a free pawn for white, not so easy to break through as black has some sort of blockade on light squares, but still extra pawn is extra pawn, and we love free stuff, don't we?
We do love free stuffs. Get those free stuffs emote out in the chat, and maybe some chocolate too, because I'm getting really hungry. But this is the last game of the 3+1 portion. So after this, we will go for a short break. We'll show you the best clip of the day. I hope that you have sent in some. And then the last and final, most exciting stage. Bullet. Oh, what
was this? What was this? Bishop b4. That was a very nice tactic.
Yeah.
But after 96, we still have, pawn, but a lot of pieces were traded.
Yes,
What
so
happened?
the rooks are gone, the pawns are gone, and we end up in a minor piece plus queen's endgame where white is aiming to trade.
Oh my god, queen a8. Check. What is it? Oh, check. It was winning, no? Queen a8, queen e8.
This is now going on. Not queen takes s7, king h8, and
black won?
White has flagged. White flagged after queen takes f7.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's a tie. We are going for the bullet portion of this really exciting match between Lagno and Danielian with a tie, 8-8 tie. We'll go for a short break, and then we are back with the bullet segment, clip of the day, and an interview with the players.
Oh my god. So
free stuff is free stuff.
Yeah, it is. Bishop d4. And now what white is trying to do is trade maybe... Oh my god, 97!
She stepped into the fork. No.
Oh my god.
I wasn't even looking. I was trying to catch up with the chat, and then
Oh my god. What happened? That was a blunder. That was a full queen.
The biggest blunder of the day so far.
Oh,
this is a very painful moment for Elina. What a moment in this match we have selected. That was one of the most popular among the clips, the moment when Elina Danielian stepped into that fork, losing her queen, but she smiled in the end. So, Pico, what was that reaction? Do you think we would react the same way when we blunder our queen, just smiling that it's okay?
I loved her reaction. She was like, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous what happened, but I loved indeed her reaction. And generally, I love her emotions. I love her expressions, that she's not mad or something. She just takes it very cool.
Indeed, we have been discussing that Elina Danielian is a very expressive player. We've seen her smile, we've seen her angry. While Kateryna, she mainly has a poker face on, whether it's good or bad, what's happening in the game and the match. She has the same facial expression. So two very different sides of the same coin. Amazing chess, exciting games so far. And it's a tie, 8-8 going into the bullet.
Yeah, this is going to be so exciting with equal score going to the bullet. Oh my god. And we have games already. Knight f3, g3, bishop g2. That's a very good, I think that's a very good choice for the bullet because it's easy to move.
It is, as you said, you should have pre-movable openings for the bullet because speed is what matters. Elina said also in her pre-match interview that she doesn't consider bullet real chess, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it is first time actually we see that Kateryna is deviating from her repertoire. She played all her white games. She started with e4, but now she's playing knight f3, g3, which makes a lot of sense because she's a King's Indian player and she plays Grunfeld, and we will have reversed King's Indian with this type of structure, but it's bullet, so many things happened already. We don't have queens on the board, and but white has c-file, right?
Yeah, the c-file is important here. Doubling rooks is an option so that you can take back with the rook and keep the pressure over the a6 pawn. Bishop a5 is a very smart move because it forces the trade, and then the a6 pawn. How do you keep this pawn? Rook a8 would step into this diagonal and the discovered attack.
Yeah, it looks good for white, very, very good for white. And guess what? We again have two bishops, but this time versus two knights. It does look very good for white now. It will be very difficult to defend this position, but it's bullet. Kateryna has a lot of time on the clock.
Oh my, 55 seconds. She doesn't use a single second. She's a pawn up with pair of bishop. This is a winning endgame, and now she's creating a b pass pawn after pushing a4.
Yeah, and I think that she will go king g2, king f3, king e4 at some point. She can remove that once b6 is on the board. But after king c5, b7, I hope that this pawn is not lost. And it's great position to see. And it's very instructive because nothing can touch the pawn. And
that's it. It's such a bad position where black cannot move her pieces that she decided to resign. Time matters too in the bullet portion. So Elina, knowing that she was going to lose that game, she decides to resign and go for more games. Now Elina with the white pieces going for a similar setup as previously.
Yeah, but now we see that Kateryna is changing her repertoire. So she has for bullets different openings on against Trompowsky. She used to play d5, but now she started with knight e4. This is very typical position. Usually I like it for white because I like that white has a chance of attack on the king side with g4 and g5, and white has more space.
For those who are not familiar with these variations, can you explain why this king is okay on f2? Because that's a question in the chat too, like, what? Queen f2. Hey, the rook.
Oh my God.
Whoa. Okay, we don't care about the rook anymore. Knight e8, knight takes d7. She just blundered the rook, a full rook, taking on d7 and then the rook. That's a free rook.
But it was already, I think, a very bad position because black was very passive, and this king on f2 is very safe because nothing can touch it. And then white has a free hand to attack with g4, h4. We both have rooks on g file and h file. And
very good game by Elina, but what a sudden finish. And now it's a tie one more time in the match.
Yeah, one more tie in the match. We have now again same opening as in the first game with knight of 3, but now Kateryna goes for main lines. In the first game she chose the system with d3 and c4. Now there is main line with d4. Oh, what is this? Okay. No blunder.
Yeah,
no blunder.
Those minor pieces were hanging, so it's only a trade. But yeah, we are getting scared here because there have been big mistakes. The biggest one is so far the queen fork that Elina stepped into, but Katya's knight e8 is close to being some of the top blunders of the match.
Ooh, yeah, I like f3. It is very typical in this line not to allow knight e4 and then to prepare e4, rook e1, e4. f5 is a good counter chance, but after queen f4, I think the f5 pawn is lost, isn't it? Or queen e3, queen e3.
Queen e3 saves the day because this queen trade is forced, and now the c3 knight is hanging, so it does not matter that the d6 knight is in the air as well.
But I think white could take knight d5, cd5, and bishop d6. That would be pawn, or rook e2 was hanging.
She didn't go for it. She defended the knight, but that gave time for black to come back to e6, defend the knight, and now this is equal material with good central control for white, but this is not material up, and it looked like it could have been that.
Yeah, definitely. I think black has good chances to defend it, and I even think that black might get a chance somehow to turn the tables. I don't know. I have such feeling. I like white's position. I think white has advantage, but I have a feeling that Elina will be able to somehow win this game.
I have the feeling too, for the reason that the tendency is looking good for black. So even though the position is nothing special for black, but white did not manage to make the most out of her middle game position. And now suddenly, there are problems. There was this pin and the d4 pawn is dropping, although the e6, you shouldn't allow e6, e7 with this rook support. Can you allow this?
I thought king f7 would be more precise, because after rook d4, e6, I was a bit afraid that this pawn is just running. b5 is on the board, and Kateryna actually chooses the easier way to equalize this game. Oh, bishop b5!
Blunders the rook. Oh no, rook b4 was a huge blunder.
Oh my god!
Wow, that was a sudden death.
Ooh.
Elina, from an endgame where she was a pawn up.
Oh my god! And now Katya is leading with 1 point, I think, right?
Yes, it's once again a 1 point lead for Katya. We have seen ups and downs in this match the whole time. Anything can still happen, guys. Anything can happen. 23 minutes left from the bullet until the match is over. Wow.
Yeah, and we have again the same Trompowsky taking on f6, and now actually it is white who has isolated pawn, not anymore, hanging pawns now. But after castle, I don't know, but I like this position with for white because of the chances to break through and chances to attack.
I also like it. I'm still under the effect of the blunder at the very end of the previous game. But yeah, this is bullet chess. Big mistakes can happen. Kateryna has been playing very quickly. I saw Robert pointing out in the chat earlier that he thought that it was a bit even too much, too quick, that she would need to use more time. But how do you decide? Because it's just 1 minute. You can't really divide your time wisely. It's either too slow or too fast.
Right, but I have a feeling that Kateryna came back very strong after a break. She's just now sitting more. We have more close up webcam shot, I think, and you just feel the energy. I think she's very focused, and she just knows that this is very important. This is the last phase, and yeah, that's where I'm gonna show how strong I am.
Indeed. And if we just think back how the smarter chess match predictions were, our Chess.com odds calculation thought that Katya would win the first portion, 5-4, did not happen. That she would win the 3+1, 6-4, it did not happen. And the prediction for the bullet is 6-4 in favor of Katya. I'm wondering if it will happen, because so far our predictions are failing completely.
Yeah, it does, and it's very exciting to see because they both matches, both portions went into tie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We had equal score, and now Kateryna is leading with 1 point, but it doesn't mean anything because we have lots of games.
Indeed. Shout out to Smarter Chess. I see you in the chat now. Of course, we appreciate normally these predictions, and they are often the right ones. But today, this match is a roller coaster. This one is one of the most solid games we have seen so far. It was just a draw in a rook endgame. Nothing serious happened, but we still have 20 minutes of bullet with 1 point lead for Kateryna. I think this match is not decided at all.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And same setup for Kateryna. She has, I think, pre-moves, knight f3, g3, bishop g2. That's very good. This is very popular position. I also played it myself against Queen's Indian. We transposed into the main line, this exact line with trading on e4 and bishop h4. I think Black is doing fine, but she has to know what exactly she has to do. It looks like a bit like Benoni type of positions, but big difference is that bishop is already on b7. Mm-hmm. And usually you don't want to have this bishop a6, b5, and c4, knight c5 is what Black wants to do, and have the bishop on the other side of the board, in best case to trade it. So bishop b7 is a bit of bad piece. And what White is trying is she's playing in the center with e4, f4, and e5 in mind. And that's just permanent struggle. Who will be first, White in the center or Black on the queen side?
Well, White is really quick now after e5, taking on g4 and e6. That's a protected pass pawn. No good news, even in an endgame situation that would be good. But will Black get to an endgame when her king is the target now with the open h file and this pawn in her stomach? This e6 pawn is super annoying.
It is, and White managed to have the pawn on e6, but I don't see what exactly White can do with the knight, because I think it's a very bad piece at the moment, because Black has pawn on g4, so after knight d2, knight cannot go anywhere. Okay, knight f1, knight e3, that's a very nice maneuver that Kateryna showed me, actually, that, yeah, you know, knight c3, knight b1, knight d2, knight f1, knight e3. I'm going to take both pawns on f file. And
knight f5. Now, Black had to give up the rook for that knight. She still has the c pawn, which gives some counter chances. So it's a pair of bishops, but 18 seconds left only for Elina. An exchange down, and this e6 pawn is still on the board now that the c2 pawn fell. I don't think she can survive. It's mate.
Nice tactic.
Because the bishop cannot take the rook, thanks to queen takes d5, winning the queen. Otherwise, it was mate on the board. Wow, what a game. And that will now mean another point for Katya. I cannot have the numbers 2 point lead now in the match. For the first time, Kateryna Lagno is leading with 2 points.
Yeah, 2 points lead for Kateryna. Still a lot of time. And so Elina can still come back. But I feel that Kateryna really has it.
Yeah, and Kateryna is also taking the time for some snacks. This is the first time that we witness the players needing some extra energy, but yeah, why not? Actually, I would also not mind some chocolate. We have been broadcasting this match for over 3 hours already, and the players need energy for such an intense concentration. They have been focusing on the games for over 3 hours with different time formats. And we will need to ask Kateryna what that snack was.
Yeah, that's helping her so much. 2-point lead already. We want to know the secrets.
Indeed, I hope it's chocolate. Oh, I get some virtual chocolate in the chat. Thank you, guys. Shout out to everyone on Chess TV and on Twitch. We so appreciate you guys. I'm reading the chat. So because also there in the chat. We are lurking.
Yeah. And will I be banned from chat if I say that I don't like chocolates?
Well, I need to reconsider our friendship now, Sopiko. But yeah, in this position, it's equal material. And Elina badly needs a win with not much time left from the bullet portion. This is crucial that she somehow manages to get a punch.
Yeah, but this looks like a draw, no?
It does look drawish, but in bullet, I feel like anything can still happen. And she pushes Harry. The H-pawn is moving up the board. Something might go on. I was a bit afraid of this pin on H1, A8 diagonal, and I like the move King G1, H4, getting some space on the king side. Knight E7, allowing Knight D4 or Knight E5. That's a big decision. Yeah, it is, because that does create a situation where black is, this. Oh, okay, G6 still, because it creates space on G7 for the king. Knight F8 was a huge threat, but now the knight comes back to F6.
Ooh, but if I play still Knight F8 or Knight F6 or Queen E8, it looks that white is winning, right? Queen F7.
Yeah, now Queen F8, Queen takes F7. This is what Elina needed, a comeback win, because that only mean a 1-point advantage for Katya in the bullet. Anything can still happen. 15 minutes left from the bullet.
Perpetual.
And it's mate on the board. Yeah. Beautiful. That was a very important comeback from Elina, still trailing with 1 point in this match, 1 point disadvantage, but with 15 minutes left in the bullet, I think this is real close.
Yes, it is very close, and Elina chooses the same Queen's Indian setup versus Knight of 3, G3, not going for C5, D5 anymore, but Knight E4.
Yeah, and as you guys pointed out in the chat, of course, Knight F6 was made earlier too. She just repeated moves. Luckily, she didn't repeat 3 times. That was good, not to repeat 3 times instead of giving mate.
Yeah, and Queen D7, queens are off the board now. I think black has no problem whatsoever in this position, and I consider it as equal, but okay, it's bullet, so I can never say it's equal.
The previous position too was equal, but it had some tricks, and luckily Elina is very good at finding those tactical motifs in the position. That's her main strength, and Katya pointed it out before the match that the biggest strength of Elina, when they talk about their opponents, she pointed out the initiative and attacking skills of Elina Danielian.
Yeah. And now we have hanging pawns, though I like to play with hanging pawns when queens are on the board, because again, there are a lot of attacking chances. And now I'm not a big fan of hanging pawns, as black is sort of defending it.
Yeah, without the queens, as Sopiko pointed out, there's not much attacking potential, and hanging pawns are good for dynamic factors. Which moment to push? In an endgame, it's not that much about when can you get a really strong attack, but can you hold on to those pawns?
I don't know. Is the piece lost now? Because Knight E3, G5.
Oh, shoot.
Take.
And now the bishop is trapped on H6, F4, but still the bishop is trapped after F takes G5, F takes G5.
Very much needed point for Elina to level the match score, right?
Incredible comeback. She's winning 2 games in a row to tie the score with 12 minutes left from the bullet portion. This is huge for the Armenian player.
This is exciting, and now she has a lot of time on clock, so I guess if Kateryna resigns, it's understandable, because we have still some minutes, and it's important to keep the time to keep more chances, but she doesn't do so. She is fighting, always fighting, and sometimes it was very successful for her, but in this position I think nothing helps.
It would be a miracle if she can save it. There could, of course, be still a mouse slip or a huge blunder, but it's unlikely that Grandmaster Danielian would not convert this. And in that case, what Sobiko said is that sometimes you should take into account the time factor, that there's only 12 minutes left from the bullet portion. Maybe she should resign and go for the next game. So that's what happens now.
And I read in chat that Elina is a beast. She does play like a beast in these two games. Let's see now. The match is tied. We have both players with equal score, and it's very important what will happen in next games.
I can't believe we are witnessing this roller coaster. Both players have led the match twice already, both of them twice, with a 1 point or 2 point lead, and we are back to a tie with only 11 and a half minutes left from the overall match. What's going to happen? Tell us in the chat, what do you think? Is your prediction? Who are you rooting for, and who will win this match? Who will move on to the next stage of the Women's Speed Chess Championship? First time here on Chess.com and in the world, the top female players facing each other for $20,000. That's the prize found.
I'm going to say that Elina will win the match. What do you think?
Wow.
Go for Katya, and do we have bet?
Yes, let's do that. Then I'm betting on Katya.
And I'll
Fair
give you
enough.
chocolates.
Yeah, please. I can offer you chocolate, but as you said, you don't like chocolate. Maybe I should give you a different price. What would you like?
Oh yeah, I when I was a kid, I was taking chocolate off the Snickers thing, and I was only eating the inside.
Oh really? Maybe I can just buy the filling of Snickers chocolate.
Will you find it? I don't know.
Peanut butter.
Oh, I see lots of carrots in the chat. I love carrot. You can give me carrot.
Carrots. Wow. I did hear that Grandmaster Hammer loves carrots, but now back to this game where once again Katya has the pair of bishops. It's been the theme of the day. And she has lost the last two games. So psychologically, this is not an easy moment for our top-ranked player and the reigning Blitz champion, Kateryna Lagno.
Yeah, exciting match. What's going on in this game? Again, two bishops. Oh my God.
That was a check, but both pieces are hanging, so black is getting back the piece, but more pawns will fall with knight c5 check. Would that be dangerous for the knight to stay on b7 and she didn't want to take it?
Maybe it could be trapped because bishop is a very great. It actually can be powerful against knight to restrict the squares. It can go, but in this actual position, I think that black is overtaking.
It's true that the advantage of black is that these pawns on the king side are on dark squares so that she can go and collect them, but the h5 pawn has also dropped. h2 will fall next move, and then g3.
Yeah. But king e2 I could play. King e2, bishop h2, then king f2, and then black would be in trouble, actually.
Mm-hmm. That's true. Yeah, because the bishop could get trapped on h2, as you pointed out. So this is a pawn up for Elina. After having won the last two games, she now is playing this endgame with a pawn up. She may repeat moves, though, because the position is not easy to make a progress from. And she also may lose with 11 seconds on the clock. So she takes the draw. I think that was good to stabilize a little bit the situation.
Right. And to have new game with same opening, knight f3, g3. Kateryna is really going for bullet section for knight f3 and d4. And now Elina actually changes. She was usually playing with e6, bishop e7, but now g6, bishop g7. A lot of offbeat lines, right?
Yeah, we have seen so many different openings and variations for the different formats. And the bullet, yeah, as Sofika discussed earlier, it's good to have pre-movable openings when you play bullet so that you don't need to think much. Knight f3, g3, bishop g2 castle is a good pre-movable variation.
Yeah. And what do you think? Will white manage to create something on the queen side with a3, b4 or not?
She's aiming to, but it's not going to be easy to prepare it with the control of the c6 knight over the b4 square as well as the pawn. So far it's looking very solid for black. And the time situation too is similar, but it's a bullet game. I think it's gonna be even more exciting in 5-10 moves, and we may see another blunder.
It is, though it is very difficult position to play in bullet, because this position usually needs some thinking, some time. You have to know exact plans, what you want to do. It's not easy, and it's not clear where can white or black play. White is trying to get some space on the king side as well. I like the plans connected with b4, but so far Kateryna is just concentrating in the center and focusing on the center. And it's really, really not easy to play this actual position with either side.
I agree with you. And after the trade on d4, though, it's a question whether black wants to open the c5, c takes d4, and have the semi open c5, chase away the knight from c3 and e5. I like how this position has changed suddenly for black.
Why? Oh.
Although Vi allowed this knight b6
Yes.
and the knight heading toward d5, she can't play that immediately because of the pin on the c file.
Yeah.
And the knight is in trouble. She should have stepped out of the pin. Okay, it's not too bad, but there's, that pawn is falling. It is bad. But it could be worse.
Yeah,
Why did she,
it looks bad.
why did she not want it immediately? The knight was hanging, but you can't hold on to the pawn. It's gonna be taken.
Yeah.
And then the c file is there for black's rooks.
Ooh, Elina playing strong.
Incredible. This was a 2-point lead for Kateryna Lagno just 3 games ago. Elina has won 2 games since. The last game was a draw. And this one is going in favor of Elina now. Fork on f2, winning more material. What a match. Elina Danielian, the underdog of the match, is taking the lead with just a few minutes left from the entire match.
Yeah, this game is over because the king is weak, white is material down, and anything like rook e3, f4, and as you always mention, if some miracle doesn't happen, like flagging, mouse slip, or blundering queen.
A queen, that's a full queen. Yes. Elina wins, so yet another game. After the last 4 games, she collected 3.5 points. And look at that quote by Elina. I don't know what fear is in chess. Outside of chess, I have many fears.
Ooh, fearless. Oh my God.
Both players are clearly fearless, but it's only 4.5 minutes left and a 1-point lead for Elina Danielian, who qualified through our open qualifier tournament. She is the lowest rated player of the field, but a 6-time Armenian champion, represented her country at Chess Olympiads 13 times. That is 26 years at the top of the chess world playing for Armenia. And what a match between 2 friends. They get on very well.
Yeah, indeed. It's very exciting, and it's a pleasure to follow it, actually. So many ups and downs in this match, so many interesting positions, so many blunders. Ooh, that's really nice.
I need a sip of water. I was like, this is insane. The excitement, the emotions, and the players having fought for over 3 hours, almost 3.5 hours. This match can still go either way. 4 minutes left.
Very difficult for me to evaluate this position because I like the knight on b5 heading to knight d6. I like the pawns on d3 and e4, but is it really good pawns? Because I can always play f3, f5, then I can take on e4, and maybe the pawn on e4 will be weak because of knight d6.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's of course what Sopika is saying. Makes a lot of sense that it looks great, but it can also become a weakness. F3 is on the board, and the bishop on d6 is doing a great job controlling important squares around the rooks. Now, taking with the rook on e4.
Yeah, that was a bit surprising, wasn't it?
Yes, I stopped there for a moment in shock, but it makes sense that she wants to have an active rook. It does not connect the pawn, so the d3 pawn doesn't have the support of the e pawn, but it does help black's pieces to be more active. And now the queen is on e4.
Yeah, though she allowed white to double the rooks on f5 comfortably with rook f3, rook f2, having pressure on f5, it's very difficult position. I think white is doing good because of knight on d4 and great consolidation of the pieces, but black is also doing good because of d3 pawn, which is the soul of the position.
I agree with you, and it's only 20 seconds left for both players. I'm predicting any result of the three possible ones, maybe even 0-0. I don't know. G4 is on the board, and now the E3 pawn falls. Kateryna Lagno winning this E3 pawn. She needs a comeback. She was leading the match throughout the blitz, and then she went down. 2 games. Now it's a 1-point lead for Elina. Whew.
But now I think this game will end in 0-1.
Yeah.
And then we will have a game tie in the match. This is exciting.
And if there's a tie after the time is up, so if there's one more game and that's still a tie in the match, we will have a mini match in Bullet, a 4-game mini match.
Yeah.
Excitement.
I'm really looking forward to that. Did it ever happen? I don't know.
I can't recall any of the recent games going down into tie breaks. It was close between Van Forest and Arjan Tari, but in the end, Jordan won with a point. So that was decided in the overall match, and no tie breaks were needed.
Yeah, no tie breaks. So we have King f2, and after rook e2, d takes e2, white cannot stop both pawns. One will be promoted. So the game is already over.
It is, and the last game is on the board. This is the last game. That's it, guys.
Oh my God.
It's just this game. One game. This one game can decide the entire match. So whoever wins the match. If it's a draw, we will have a tie break, a bullet tie break, 4 games.
Okay, carrots or chocolates, guys?
Chocolates. The last decisive game. Everything on the line. It's $2,000, the prize fund for this match, but also the qualification on to the next stage, moving on in the Women's Speed Chess Championship. This is it. This is it.
I'm going to say that this game, I wish would be drawn, but I don't think so. I wish that it would be drawn and we go into tie breaks. So this exact position is, I think, very nice for white. Still, black managed to get out of the pin with b4, b5, and rook a8. There's a typical thing going on, but. Yeah, isn't it like very difficult game to play as a last game when you want to win?
It is, definitely. And the whole match has been a roller coaster. Both players have managed to lead and then lose the lead and then come back. I don't know who's going to win this match. Both players deserve it. I wish they could both advance to the next stage.
Yeah. I agree with you. What I have to say actually about this position, I think that it's very nice to have the a5 and b6 knight, but they are not doing much. So I like black's chances because black's pieces are more concentrated on the king side, and there is a lot going there. If black can regroup and have complete 100% focus on the king side and in the center, I think it will end in black's favor.
I agree with you that with the tension, the king side and his g4 push, but she had to step out of the g5 because of the pin after rook a g1. This is still a game that can go either way. Last game, guys, reminder, last game, everything on the line. This is the final game.
I could take on gf3, right? Bishop f3, knight e4. Good. I think
we unfortunately can't go back there, but this is the current position. 17 seconds left for Kateryna Lagno, 22 seconds for Elina Danielian. The player who wins this game wins the match and moves on to the next stage of the Women's Speed Chess Championship for a $20,000 prize fund.
Oh my God, this is exciting. Either I will get carrots or Anna will get chocolates.
I'm hoping for the chocolate, but I just can't believe that this match is such an exciting finale. Let's hope for a tie, because then we will get to see 4 more games. I'm rooting for that, actually.
Yeah, I'm also rooting for that, though I must say that I like how it looks for black. Look at the bishop and the rooks in the center. And this knight, which I mentioned before on b6, is not doing anything. It has to come back.
It does have to come back. It's 5 seconds left for Elina. She's really down on time, but 7 seconds for Kateryna.
That's nice.
Beautiful, beautiful maneuver. But now after rook takes b4, knight takes f7 and
check. King D3.
Yeah, a rook endgame.
D3.
A rook
Oh
endgame
my
with
God.
one pawn up for black.
Oh my God. Let's hope for a draw.
There were so many missed
Come on,
opportunities.
Paris.
We cannot stop and go back because it's only 5 seconds left for black, 6 seconds, 7 seconds for white. The A pawn is running, and if Elina wins, the pawn is running. It's a one pawn up.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is so exciting. Maybe rook G2 check at some point, King G7. What can I do? I'm so confused. I'm more nervous than the players.
It is just incredible how nerve-wracking this whole match has been. 3.5 hours. They have been playing for 3.5 hours. It's still a tie. And this game, one pawn up for Elina, but not an easy rook end game.
1 second for Kateryna Lagno. And this is very important game because if she loses the match. And oh my God. Oh my
That's
God.
it. Elina wins the match. Kateryna flags.
Elina won.
This is insane. The match is over. Elina Danielian, the underdog of the match, wins and moves on to the next stage. We will go for a very short break before we interview the players. Don't go anywhere and spam emotes in the chat because we'll be back in a second. Welcome back, everybody, to the first match of the Women's Speed Chess Championship. We have a winner. Elina Danielian wins the match with a thrilling finish. The last bullet game decided. Elina, your first thoughts on winning this match? You needed to ask us after the game was over. What's the score?
Yeah, that was my first question because I couldn't follow the score. I knew that I won 5 minutes match. I think it was +1, but
It was tied.
somehow I lost the score. I just was playing the game by game. So
Actually, both portions of 5 minutes and 3+1 was tie, and it was very exciting to follow the match. It was exciting match and exciting games.
yes, with a lot of blunders. Yes,
That happens.
you had a lot of fun out of our blunders.
Yeah, we
Like
did.
Queen C6 and Knight E7 check, and then my queen is just captured, and then
That became the blunder of the match.
yes.
But we have seen also
we both had
spectacular
a lot of
calculations.
blunders. But
Really
okay, I don't
fighting
speak
chess
about the
and
bullet.
billiard.
It's just probably it's just so-called chess.
Yes, you did say it in the pre-match interview. Kateryna, I also wanted to ask you, were you aware of the score going into the last bullet game? Did you know that that was the decisive game?
No, of course not. I was already completely out. I wanted to finish it. Doesn't matter how it's for me. It's a bit too much.
You normally don't play online chess. Was it a lot, this 3.5-hour session? You did have some snacks. Can we ask what was the snack and how did you feel after 3.5 hours of playing online?
Well, because before I didn't have time to eat, it was it's dates.
That's very healthy.
Much healthier than my diet.
I hope so.
That is indeed. And I have a question to Kateryna. I'm really interested how she manages to play so strong, to be so impressive when she has 4 children. When you're mom of 4 children, I myself have 1, and I'm like, I have no time for anything.
Either, because during the match they were just here, almost always with me playing. But I know that Elina also she has a daughter, and I have no choice. I'm used already. Some noise. Now they sleep, and I lost the match, so probably
peaceful times.
Yes.
Multitasking is certainly not easy. You both said that before the match that it would be great if you can get just a few online games as preparation. Did you make any particular preparation in terms of choosing which openings to play in which format? And you did change your opening depending on the time control. It's a question to both of you. If you can answer, Elina first.
No, I didn't have any preparation. Just my preparation was just played online.
Mm-hmm.
Just 2-3 days ago, I tried to play online and just to make myself comfortable to stare at the monitor, because it's not easy. Now my eyes are just completely out. So that was my full preparation.
I see. What about you, Kateryna?
Then it's my preparation.
It does count as preparation, I'm sure. What about you, Kateryna? Did you have some time to play online or decide about your openings for today?
I was unlucky. I wanted to play, but nobody accepted.
Oh, really? How comes?
I was waiting for 1 hour doing nothing, and then I was tired and I went out, so I didn't have time. So I didn't play. My first bullet.
So you should challenge me.
You should challenge me.
You could have practiced together, indeed.
Yes, sure. Why not?
Yes, but for you it was already late. For me it was almost 12 o'clock. So for you it's 1.
Okay, I think I could find the time.
Right.
Elina, I don't know if you saw any of our articles, hopefully not, because that's not good preparation, but according to our statistics, the prediction for you was that you had an 18% chance of winning. I think that's really low. How do you feel about that prediction, that was your chance of winning the entire match?
I have no idea. But I think in all our games, not all, but the most of the games, I like Kateryna's position more than mine. Well, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. So I have to check.
I want to ask both of you, as the match was very exciting and it was always ups and downs, a lot of ups and downs in the match. What do you feel was the turning point of the match?
The bullet was turning point. As I said, so I had to put my mouse hand in the right position, in the right condition. So the faster is the winner, I think. So.
And for you, Kateryna?
Because decisive was the bullet, in my opinion.
I lost a few in a row, and then I started to blunder. So this was a decisive moment.
Right. And I also want to ask about the expressions, because we've seen when Elina was blundering, she had a lot of emotions going on. I loved that she was not angry. You were not angry, Elina. You were just laughing at your own mistakes, laughing at the blunders.
I can be angry only on myself. But you blunder, it's funny, of course. What to do?
I guess you really enjoyed it.
I can't keep my emotions, I'm sorry.
No, that was great to see. But we could not see any emotion on you, Kateryna.
Well, maybe I'm so used to my blunders, so just okay, one more. I gave up a piece on e5 with a check. I was okay once again. So for me, it's normal.
You're very hard on yourself, Kateryna. We were praising you for having collected basically every single title that's out there, from winning the World Blitz Championship to European individual titles, Olympic gold, and you almost won the Classical Women's World Championship in November. So you should be very proud of yourself. And as Sofiko said, it's not easy to multitask, and you had your kids around you while you were fighting in this match.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a hero mommy, I think. Mommy of four and playing such great chess. It's just wow.
Today, no, don't do it. Today I'm very unhappy with myself. I didn't like my play from the very first game, and it didn't change till then. So I'm really disappointed with myself. So please stop it.
All right, we will not praise you, Katya, but you are amazing. Elina, also, it has been so brilliant. You came in as the underdog, and as you said, the predictions were really low for your chances to win, but you proved us wrong. You proved the statistics wrong. Congratulations for moving on to the next stage, and you will face the winner of the match between Harika Dronavalli and Marisa Bug. How do you see that match, and would you pick any of those two players to play against?
First of all, thank you. I don't know. They are both very strong. I think it doesn't matter for me to play against them.
Let me say, I just want to congratulate my friend, my good friend Elina. I'm very happy for her.
Thank you.
And I wish her to win another one and to become a champion.
So yeah, thank you. I can say the same. I can say the same, that let our match. Consider our match like a small preparation before your candidates tournament, which is much more important for you. And I wish you good luck there.
Thank you.
So I'm going to root for you. So good luck there.
Oh, that's so nice.
I think these final words are the nicest we have ever witnessed on Speeches Championship matches, and your friendship, how you're rooting for each other, is admirable and inspiring. Thanks to both of you for the impressive show that you have put on. I think our viewers here on Chess TV and Twitch have really been just glued to their screens for how exciting the match has been the whole time. And we wish you good luck, Katya, for the candidates, and Elina for the rest of the Speeches Championship. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you
very much.
Bye. Пока, Elin.
Пока, guys. Пока.